what you are watching is a re-upload. If this is your first time watching, here's the deal. I did reactions to the MCU from start to finish. I hope you watched the Phase 1 video, so maybe you already know what I'm about to say. But if you're just checking this out for some reason, first, let me just say I had a lot of reactions that were on a Google Drive account that got taken down, and now I don't have those reactions anymore. Lost them entirely. So, this is a supercut of the discussions to Phase 2 for all those reactions. I still had the discussions, but I didn't have the fucking reactions because they were redirected on YouTube. Now, the only one I do have is Guardians of the Galaxy. So, when you get to the Guardians of the Galaxy section, there'll be a little title card that says, go watch the reaction if you want to. The reaction is in the description. It's the full movie. There's no, cut down version. I'm not even going to do that. It's the full length. You can go watch that in the description. But yeah, this is a supercut of the discussions, just cutting together essentially all the essential, all the interesting things, all the funny bits, anything like that. It's just the parts that matter, really. I didn't cut out, a ton of stuff. I just cut out, ums and ahs and silences and just make it go much faster as a binge. Some of these reactions, or some of these discussions were multiple hours long, and they did get cut down quite a lot, but I'm not really cutting out anything non-essential. This is all my opinions of the things. Other stuff was just mindless rambling and everything. So, anyway, I hope you enjoy this. Here it is. First off, I thought, again, it was such a weird song choice to have I'm Blue at the beginning, until about 5 seconds later, and I was like, actually, this is insanely fitting for this. It just is always on my mind as such a goofy song, when it really isn't. That's not what it was made to be.
I mean, it's the double twist. It feels like a goofy song because of all the movies that have used it ironically, and then Iron Man 3 decides to play it straight for once, ever.
Yeah. Really crazy. But yeah, it fits perfectly with all the themes of this movie, which I fucking loved. Him having these panic attacks and feeling like he's just, after all that shit that he talked in Avengers, now he's the one, feeling like he's just a man in a can. He's just some normal-ass dude. And once the suits are gone, what the hell can he do?
I mean, I'm really glad that we didn't brush off the end of Avengers. He did nearly die. That changes a man.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say that it's the fact that he nearly died, but the fact that he went to another world through a wormhole. Maybe it is, but to me personally, I found it way more to be the fact that he just went to an alien world, the fact that there are aliens. I mean, just the fact that he went through a wormhole, I feel like was the biggest thing about all of it. I feel like that changes a man more than almost dying does.
True. I think of it as always dying, but I think the wormhole is the bigger thing, because up until that point, he considered himself, if not the smartest man in the world, then, one of the smartest. He's up there. Yeah. And then in, one day, his entire worldview is shattered. He realizes that humans are a tiny part of the world, and there's so much more, and it's all terrifying.
My main, honestly, only real criticism is why the fuck Banner wasn't in the movie. They had him in the end credits scene. It's not as if this movie is supposed to be standalone, because it is entirely based around the Avengers and everything. If you haven't seen the Avengers, you would have no fucking clue what the hell's going on in this movie.
It is also perplexing because this isn't confirmed for every actor, but for most of the big name ones, we know that they've signed a 6-film deal, and film means any appearance that they do in a movie. Oh, so end credit scenes do count.
So you just wasted it.
Strange use of a main Avenger.
Yeah. The fireworks at the beginning on the rooftop, and then the fireworks at the end with all the suits blowing up. Really nice touch. And just the overall having narration through the entire movie.
It's a very different feel from the previous 2 Iron Man movies.
Yeah. This one is it definitely feels like the end. They knew this one was the last one. You do a trilogy and you're out. You don't do a 4th one. So let's make this one, much different and a very, ending feeling.
Which, incidentally, is a pretty crazy decision. From the perspective of a series that is, super big, each movie does better than the last. Iron Man 3 was, I think, the 5th highest grossing movie at all time when it came out.
Jesus.
To do that, and then to say, all right, we did 3 of them, no more Iron Man 4, and we're gonna stick to that for a long time. That is a bold move to make.
Yeah. I respect him for it. You don't want to run the risk of saturating it, especially when you know that he's going to be appearing in all the Avengers and stuff.
Yeah.
And as a big major part of it, even though Captain is the captain of the Avengers, Tony is the one that moves the plot for everything, really.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the Mandarin.
Yes.
The Mandarin. Boy. Okay, so when it first came, when we first got the first news broadcast of that, I was enraptured. I was completely tricked by it, fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I thought it was so cool, such an interesting villain, so enigmatic and full of charisma, which in hindsight makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because even during that one, I was like, this is so... I love this guy as a terrorist because this is not... I've never seen a terrorist portrayed this way. This is so weirdly charismatic for a terrorist.
If there's one thing you can say, it's that the actor playing the Mandarin is incredibly good.
Yeah, very specifically, when he seemingly like he was about to cry after he was shooting the oil representative, I was like, that was where I first started being like, okay, hold on. Like, I was like, he seems so emotionally attached to this, but I don't know why. That's where I started getting a little disillusion. And a little bit before that, too, where his lessons started lessening over time. Like, you had the one with the Indians right off the bat, which was very, very solid. And then you had the Chinese theater one, where he was like, fortune cookies aren't even Chinese. And I'm like, what? Fortune cookies aren't Chinese, so we're gonna blow up this fucking theater. And it's like, what is this lesson? Now seeing it all in hindsight, and like, clearly what they were doing there was not supposed to be blowing it up. That was just because he couldn't handle it. So then they were like, alright, I guess let's find a reason for why we did this. Because fortune cookies.
I really like that because, it also, like, it shows that even though we don't get to see the mindset behind it, like, clearly the best ideas came at the very start, and then as the extremist situations get out of hand, he has to really scramble to come up with better justifications, or just more justifications.
Yeah. His acting is perfect. I fucking love it. Just how uppity he is in every situation where there's like a gun to his head and he's just like entitled.
Right.
Like he doesn't understand why they're upset with him.
I will also say this is not something that happened in the comics. Like, the Mandarin is definitely more like the Ben Kingsley actor interpretation than the bait and switch. So this was really, really quite effective in the theater itself as well.
Oh, okay. The sound editing of the kid whispering in my ear, what was it like in the wormhole? Or whatever he said, was so horror movie-esque. I got chills. I was freaked out by just this kid asking that.
Yeah, it really puts you in Tony's headspace.
Yeah.
Like, a lesser movie would have made it almost, like, goofy in the way that he was acting, but they really make it clear that, this really deeply affected him, and I don't know, something about the way they portray it really triggers my empathy, whereas I could easily see it going wrong in other series, like in another movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Tony and Pepper. Pepper's relationship. Boy.
I really enjoy these movie-by-movie Pepper updates.
I ship them because it's a movie, but even then, I feel like we got an Iron Man 4. Like, they're just never going to work out. They never will. I don't think they're a toxic couple or anything like that, but they're never gonna work out. Both of them are going to cheat on each other, like, within a year. Easily.
Yeah.
One, it's gotta be hard to be in a relationship with Tony Stark. I get that. Pepper does not deserve him at all. She needs to find someone else. Feel bad for her.
I mean, she needs a tower first.
Yeah, get the tower,
then get the tower, then leave.
Get the tower, get out. I want to talk about Happy this movie.
Oh, yeah.
My second complaint is that Happy was in a coma for the whole movie. Because Happy is my second favorite character in the entire Iron Man franchise now. Not even now. I might have... don't think I would have said that during the second movie. But definitely now. Like, It's tough because I really, really love Rhodes too. You know, I underestimated it back in the Iron Man 1 where I'm like, yeah, you know, Iron Man doesn't have a sidekick. Or at least I don't know that he does. But now it's like, he does. I mean, like, Rhodes is absolutely his sidekick. I would never have pegged Iron Man to be someone with a sidekick, but he's so far the only one who does have one. That said, I don't think Rhodes is ever going to appear in the Avengers or anything like that. Like, he is a very sidekick. One in the beginning, seeing him with a goatee was fucking hilarious. Absolutely love that. The goatee and the mullet, fucking perfect. The don't touch the plant, and then they turn around and he fucking rips the leaves off of it. Like, he's such a child. It wasn't even a, like, poke it anyway. He grabs it and rips it off. Not even, like, plucking a single leaf off. He grabs it and rips it off. He's such a fucking child. Jumping on Tony way after the blast happened and thinking it was Y2K. Everything to do with the badges, and then him waking up from the hospital and immediately looking at the nurse to his left not wearing a badge, which was the only thing Tony asked her to do.
Mm-hmm.
The whole iPad thing where he does not know how to use FaceTime or anything. Fucking love that. There's a tie for the best line in this movie. Leader up was Tony saying to the kid, "Which happens, dads leave, no need to be a pussy about it." Best line of the entire movie was, "I think we need to take out the human part of HR. The human part of HR is really the problem." He says it so seriously. Oh yeah, where he said that he put the memo for everybody to wear a badge on the toilets. Why?
I forgot about that.
Happy is a fucking genius.
Top 3 CEOs that could run Stark Industries. Rank them. Tony, Pepper, Happy.
I mean, obviously Happy's number one. He knows what he's doing. All this fucking happened because that guy wasn't wearing the right badge. If fucking Spin or whatever his goddamn name was wearing a badge, this movie wouldn't have happened.
Can't argue with that.
Actually, honestly, if he probably did that, they just would have probably never found the Mandarin, actually. My ranking, I guess, is Happy, Pepper, Tony. Tony's definitely the worst person to be in charge.
His dad would be proud.
The kid, I like his character a lot. His actor was really bad.
Yeah.
His actor was so bad. His line delivery on everything didn't feel like a human. I don't even want to say it didn't feel like a kid said it. Didn't feel like a human said it. All the lines were fine. It's just his delivery of them. Well, not all the lines were okay. Aldrich Killian, I love the whole thing of when we first see him, we're like, okay, he's changed a hell of a lot, and then you find out like, okay, it's because of extremists and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. For 80% of the movie, I thought he was going to be a very extremely forgettable villain. From the, I guess, oil tanker onwards, he was a lot better on the oil tanker. His plan was really good. His plan was like the most solid out of anything MCU I've ever seen so far. As much as, the character himself, his plan, Killian's really solid. I absolutely loved, like, slowly piecing it together and everything he was trying to do. And once I finally got it clicked, I was like, wow, that's actually really solid. And
yeah.
Really solid and easily understandable, which is hard to do, to have a plot point that is very easily understandable, but also doesn't have any, like, major, like, why do they think this is gonna work type thing.
Yeah, and it's not super obvious either. Like, hitting a balance between those 3 things is real tricky. I gotta commend the movie for, like, nailing it.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Extremis as, like, a concept in the movie? Like, as a way to move away from the main threats being, like, fighting drones or fighting other guys in armor?
I was very fascinated by that because I remember in Iron Man 1 saying, like, oh, this might actually be mech versus mech, because I just assumed it would be Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit versus some guy with superpowers. Mm-hmm. And then even in Iron Man 2, I was like, okay, so I guess we're just going to be doing the mech thing all the time then. Like, just finding different ways for Tony to fight mechs. So yeah, it was a big surprise for it to just be like, okay. I mean, it was thematic in the fact that it was another terrorist. I do like that sort of, every single one has been a terrorist.
Yeah.
It's the 3rd movie and it's still not gotten right Tony's head inside the suit. And I specifically mean Tony's head inside the suit. I don't know why that's such a problem. Obadiah's head inside the suit looked totally fine. Pepper's head inside the suit, totally fine. Rhodes' head inside the suit, totally fine. I don't know why Tony's never looks good. It always looks like his head is just floating there. Giving out his address to fucking everyone. Right back to old Tony. That was the most stupid fucking thing he could have possibly done. Total impulse decisions. Pepper inside the suit, really awesome. So glad we got to see that. Just her inside the suit. Nothing about it. Just the fact that we got to see her in the suit. Just that alone.
It's satisfying.
Yeah. Really satisfying. Oh yeah, all the gestures for the suits are so cool. This fucking samurai sword cutting and that disables all the armor. Like, that, again, is so him.
Yeah.
Him commanding it, quote unquote, to, like, grab Pepper in the night and everything like that, just because of his nightmares, was, like, fucking horrifying. So scary.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm gonna go sleep on the couch. I can't believe, I would have been like, I'm gonna go sleep in an underground bunker. Oh yeah, the whole fucking time he's in Tennessee, he's trudging through the snow, dragging the fucking Iron Man suit behind him, and he has his sleeves rolled up, and he keeps talking about how fucking cold it is, and he has his sleeves rolled up, and then the first other piece of apparel that he puts on is a poncho, which doesn't cover his fucking arms. And he's wearing a long sleeve shirt, by the way. He just doesn't roll down the sleeves because he's too cool for that. This movie is the most condensed character study of Tony Stark I've ever seen. This movie, Tony takes down so many, like, mini-bosses. One of which he didn't even have a suit or anything for. It was just him in handcuffs. That was intense. And
it really was.
The water tower was such a cool fucking idea and such an amazing scene. Rhodes, when he was inside the suit and they were trying to get him out of it, I cannot imagine how hot that was, because Killian puts one finger on Tony Stark when he's in the Iron Man suit, and it's like, it gets a little red, and Tony's like, oh god, I can't handle it, and it's like 4 seconds. Whereas he does it with on the entire abdomen, and you see about like 50% of the torso of the suit brighter red and way all over more than it was for Tony. And Rhodes just like not even sweating inside there. He's just like, whew, get a little bit toasty in here. I can hang out a little bit longer. And the suit opens up before he does. Like, he's not even like, I can't even handle this. The suit's like, alright, I can't handle this. The metal suit can't handle it.
I mean, he's literally a trooper.
Yeah, I'd say. Holy shit. But he jumps out and then beats the crap out of him. And Killian breathes fire, which he, I don't think ever does again. Oh, the return of the car battery. The return of the car battery.
Oh, yeah.
That was so cool. He still has to charge up the suit, so he's just carrying around the car battery again. Oh, my God. I loved it. Oh, such an amazing callback. All of his suits are drones. Like, why does he even get in the suit? What's even the point of being in the suit anymore? What can he do inside the suit that he can't do just controlling it?
He doesn't have to worry about, like, someone taking over the suits or anything. Like, he's there.
Well, I mean, he still has to worry about someone taking over the thing and just take him out of the suit. Honestly, the final fight, I get it, because he's protecting himself and stuff. But just in general, he should really just be sending out the fucking suits. There seems to be no downside.
I don't think Tony Stark as a human being could handle not being Iron Man. Like, having people know that Iron Man is just a thing that comes out of the sky and it isn't him.
I guess it also is for a lot more morale and stuff. Like, everybody on the plane was very happy when he was saving him because they thought it was him.
Yeah.
The chain of saving people, though, fucking cool. I loved it. I mean, just the whole final fight. I don't know how to, like, get my thoughts on it concise, but I mean, it was a hell of a fucking final fight. It was definitely my, just barely, but I do like it more than the courtyard scene in Hawk. I mean, I'm not gonna count the Battle of New York as a fight scene.
Fair enough.
But just jumping in and out of all the suits during the whole fight, constantly in one, out of one, in one, out of one.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Rhodes just being out of his suit for like 99% of it, just really trying to stay alive.
Pepper having extremis, at least briefly.
Yes. Yeah, that was fucking awesome. Pepper was an insane badass. She took out one of the Iron Man suits and Killian in a matter of like 5 seconds. Like, even Killian couldn't take down one of the suits as well as she did. She just straight up just punched right through the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Straight up donutted it. Yeah, and no more mini arc reactor. No more shrapnel.
Yeah.
It's out. I was definitely not expecting that at all.
That is massive.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. And that really makes it feel like the end of a trilogy.
Yeah. And then now she has the necklace made out of shrapnel. Really nice touch.
Yeah. I think Iron Man 3 works real well as this not final, but final quote-unquote exploration of all the themes of the Iron Man series.
Yeah.
Like, the technology is bigger, it's more democratized. Like, now it's not just one guy with one suit, it's like, oh, well, anyone could have Extremis. All sorts of people across the country have it, which also, like, adds to that domestic terrorist feel.
Yeah. And the war profiteering with Ames being a think tank funded with military war funds and everything.
Mm-hmm. The Mandarin in general, again, like, I went into this movie assuming that Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin was a thing. I thought maybe he would be, like, the main villain of the next Avengers movie or something, because, like, he's a big deal in the comics. I really cannot undersell how much that twist shocked me. What do you think Tony is going to do next, in general?
I think he's going to be focusing on S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers in terms of buffing them up in terms of technology and stuff. I think that he might come to terms a little bit with his humanity and realize that I can't do it all on my own, so I better help everyone else too. Like, I better make it better for everybody. Give Captain America a suit. Give him the Iron Patriot. Thor being inside the suit would just be a hindrance, I assume. I say that, but I mean, again, he could just hold the hammer outside the suit. The hammer's the only thing that makes him special.
I mean, do you want to see Thor try to figure out technology?
That's true.
Seems like a bad idea.
Well, see, that's where you just, it's like giving your little brother wants to play games with you, so you give him the controller and unplug it and just tell him that he's the AI. Like, that's what you do with Thor. Just put him in the suit, give him the fucking hammer, and tell him he's doing it all, but it's all just AI.
No, don't put him in a drone.
Yes. Put Thor in a drone. Put Captain America in a suit. Hulk's the only one that makes sense not to be in a suit.
If the drone is the one lifting the hammer, can it lift it? Is the drone
that's a
worthy?
good point. Okay, so just take off the glove. He's just got his bare hands sticking out of the suit.
Oh no, you made it more cursed.
Oh my god.
I do agree, though. I don't think Hulk should be in a suit. That seems like a real bad idea.
I mean, if he can make a suit for the Hulk, that actually might be pretty fucking badass. I would love to see the Hulk in an Iron Man suit.
I guess Hawkeye's just straight up right.
Oh yeah, I always forget they're a part of the Avengers.
How dare you?
All these people are just here for their training, so I guess if you just want them there for their training, that's fine.
What do you think Thor the Dark World is going to be about?
Probably another planet. We could literally just be picking up right after Avengers. Like, when he is going back home with Loki, the movie could start with them teleporting in.
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't.
That is honestly my prediction. I think it's just going to start right there. And it's going to be all about what they did with Loki. I feel like that's probably what going to be the movie's about. That's it. We're talking about Thor, The Dark World. This is the only MCU movie that you haven't seen for the longest time. Right? Like, there was a huge span between seeing almost everything in the MCU and then finally seeing Thor 2, right?
Yes.
How did you feel about the movie?
I thought it was a fine movie. Much like how Thor 1 to me didn't really stand out very much. Thor 2 also didn't really stand out very much. Like, it doesn't have much of its own identity.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not awful. It's not bad, I would say. It's definitely still enjoyable. I watched again. I watch every movie twice. If there comes time where I see one that I'm not going to watch twice, that's how you know it's bad. Let's start with the Aether. To have to bury it deep where no one can ever find it. This is the Aether, something that can destroy the universe. They're trying to seal it away as far as possible. And then there's fucking sunlight coming into the goddamn cave. It can't be that deep if there's sunlight coming in. There's a huge open area to it. What was he thinking? That nothing even requires it to be in an area with sunlight, like, plot-wise, I mean.
Right.
She gets teleported in. It could have been in the middle of fucking nowhere in the deepest, darkest caves. He was so like, no, we have to have sunlight going toward it. So yeah, the movie started out with Loki being arrested and all that, and it seems like from that scene that Loki would rather be killed than arrested. Like, he wants to die a warrior's death, and the fact that they're just locking up instead is infuriating him.
Yeah.
He absolutely hates that.
It's a strong contrast between the Avengers and this as well, because with the Avengers, it was all part of his plan.
Yeah.
So it didn't really affect him. And now looking back on it, you can see the big difference between when he's in control, even if he's locked up, and when he's actually being locked up, when he's lost control.
And even then, when he's locked up, he still tries to pretend he's in control, like putting all the illusory things and all that.
Oh, that's such a good moment.
And it was nice to see that he gets that from his mother.
I will say, in actual Norse mythology, like magic and illusionary stuff was very much like women's power.
Okay. Yeah, Thor's friends still feel like NPC party members. Like, specifically, like, NPC party members in, like, a video game as opposed to, like, a D&D game where everybody feels like an actual character, you know? Imagine, like, getting a role in, like, a Marvel movie. Like, a pretty decent role. You have a lot of speaking lines for that, and then you play, you know, one of these guys. Like, they're all right, but, like, out of all the people to play, like, to get a speaking role, I would not want it to be one of the Warriors 3. Ian the Intern was fantastic. See, that's the speaking role I would want. Ian the Intern is much better. Well, he's such a weird character to introduce for no real reason, but he works so well in it. They even had a little arc with him and Darcy getting together, I guess, at the end. I guess he's gonna stick around. I really thought the like date that Jane went on was gonna be more of a thing as opposed to just someone to give her a phone call while she's on an alien planet. Yeah, the whole naked Dr. Selvig got in your head. What the hell is going on with Hawkeye, I wonder? Like, if this is what's happening to Selvig, Hawkeye was getting a lot more direct orders from Loki.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine what, like, crazy shit he's going through right now. Clearly not running around naked, at least. That's good.
Yeah, he seems to be holding it together a bit better.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. We just... He's not on
True.
TV, at least. S.H.I.E.L.D. is at least keeping him in a locked cell naked, maybe. But I hope they do something with that. I hope they just don't, like, be like, oh yeah, Hawkeye's fine, because he's a badass. Trapped in another world with an ancient universe-destroying Aether. Or trapped in another world with my alien boyfriend and his dysfunctional family. My favorite isekai.
Jane even got the super broken special ability.
Yeah, she did. A lot of the big sell of this movie is not even the portals to me. It's just the Jane dating a alien, someone who's worshipped as a god.
We do get the big flip from Thor 1, where like a big part of Thor 1 was Thor being the outsider and wandering around and doing funny things in the human world.
Yeah.
And we kind of get that with Jane. Not to the same extent, but she still gets the outsider perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's nice, because we really did not get a lot of Asgard in Thor 1, apart from,
Not
hey,
really.
this is a cool place, look at these effects.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we got more of it, and it is a nice reversal of what Thor went through. Because she had it way worse. Because Thor's just like a weird outsider, whereas she's just like, okay, I mean, I wrote down the quotes here. This is Odin. We are born, we live, we die, just as humans do. Also, Odin, get this fucking animal off my planet! I don't want this goat on this table! Also, Odin, what's that? Disease not from Earth in a time where the 9 realms are converging and wonky shit happens? Send the fucking donkey back to Earth! He's such an asshole. Like, not even that he's an asshole. I mean, fine if he's an asshole, but he's such a hypocrite. Like, that is the vast word written down here. Is like, when he yells at somebody for something, and then I'm like, motherfucker, I will go back in this movie or in Thor 1, and I will find the exact quote where you said the exact opposite shit to somebody else. He's such a fucking terrible hypocrite.
Yeah, you don't see it as much in Thor 1, just because, you know, it's much, you know, the lines are much clearer there.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Thor 2 really shows how, like, exactly how much of an asshole he is.
Yeah, like, fucking anybody would make a better king than him. Thor or Loki would.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely believe that Loki would make a better fucking king than Odin would. If he gave him the throne normally when they were going to give the throne to Thor.
Right.
If they just instead gave it to Loki, it would have probably been fine. Not fine, but it would have been better than Odin.
I mean, realistically, disregarding Thanos, I guess, like,
Yeah.
disregarding that whole part, if it was just Loki being Loki on the throne, what bad things would he really do?
Loki was killing all of them because of Thanos and everything like that.
Yeah.
If it was just Loki, I'm sure he would just, like, rule over them as their god and king and that. Which Odin is like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. But Odin does the exact same shit. He calls them fucking animals. He's like, they shouldn't be in this place more than a goat should be at a table. What Odin's saying, through your arrogance and stupidity, you've opened these peaceful realms and innocent lives to war. Also, Odin, I'll sacrifice any number of people I need to.
Oh, that line's real big.
Yeah. So when Thor breaks Loki out of the prison, and then they're like walking, and he's impersonating a bunch of people, including Captain America and all that. The guard he impersonates is the exact same guard that tells Odin that Loki was dead. Oh. I caught that the second time around. It's the exact same guard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just Loki and Thor being amazing together, like having such chemistry. It's such a vastly different chemistry. Yeah. Like, from Thor 1, where they were actual friends and brothers, to now Thor 2, where they are very enemies. They work great together in two incredibly different dynamics.
Yeah.
And they're just the running gag of Loki being bullied and just being incredibly weak, where he's just like yelling at Thor, like, you gotta do this and this, and what's wrong with you, blah, 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 where there's so much shit going on, he just pushes him out of the fucking plane. I hope that just continues to happen. I love just Loki going on a rant or just trying to look super cool and just getting back the fuck out. There's the whole backstab fake out thing, Loki betraying Thor, quote unquote. Totally got me. I was so mad. I was like, how the fuck did you not expect this after all of this? I was so glad that I immediately fell for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked incredibly well. Even the art thing, I was like, okay, like, that's gonna have to be a big major change you're sticking with, I guess. Unless you can just Asgardian and healing tank that arm back. Not quite sure how that works. I guess you can bring somebody back from the dead, what can't you do? Oh yeah, then Loki saving Jane, a human, something Odin would never do. Yeah, fighting through the dimensions was just so fucking cool in general. Like, just the whole fight constantly going between world and world and world. And then going back to Jotunheim and seeing the big old, like, doggy monster and then bringing that back to Earth.
Oh, yeah.
It was absolute chaos. Oh, yeah, the fucking fighter jets was just like, oops, sorry, Mr. President, we accidentally bombed another planet. That shit. You're trying to fight aliens, you accidentally bomb a peaceful planet through a fucking wormhole. Yeah. What are the fucking odds?
You think that's gonna have any repercussions?
I don't think so. I think it was just Asian man just going, what the fuck, guys? He would rather be a good man than a great king. That was the last line that he left off early on, like the big line, and I think that's really going to resonate with Loki going into whatever Loki's in next, whether it be the Avengers or Thor 3, I'm not sure which comes next. Tanlir Tivian, the Collector. Yes. Very creepy 80s vibes to him. Very David Bowie.
The way he looks, the way he moves, the weird, like, bow thing he does.
Yeah. He's fantastic. But then, yeah, we end off with the Infinity Stones, which I knew about the Infinity Gauntlet, and I have no idea what the Infinity Stones are. I know that the Gauntlet has some big shiny bright gems on it. I assume that's what the Infinity Stones are. 99% sure I'm right on that. I don't know what the fuck they do. Like, that's the weird thing, that the ether is an Infinity Stone. Because, yeah, I know there was little stone thingies. And he even calls them Infinity Stones.
What do you think Thor 3 is going to be about, based on the events of Thor 2?
Okay, assuming that Avengers does not come first, because I cannot stress enough that these movies are going to fuck with everything so much it would be impossible for me to guess Thor 3. Assuming Thor 3 takes place before the Avengers, it's going to be fake Odin. Loki is going to do his big reveal thing. He's gonna try and take over Asgard, and we're going to introduce another alien race. Alright, that's it. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. First off, right off the bat, I really was not expecting the Winter Soldier to be the antagonist. For the majority of the movie, I was just assuming that the Winter Soldier was Captain's title. But yeah, where do we start? Like, big themes of the movie, old versus new, trust versus lies, freedom versus safety, and all that, which is very interesting, because I was not expecting to work with S.H.I.E.L.D. at all, because they are very much not his M.O. So, it's a big surprise to see him immediately working with S.H.I.E.L.D. there. We got a new, seemingly big character, Falcon. Sam Wilson was his actual name. I was not even towards the end of the movie, I was like, okay, cool, he's like the Rhodes or whatever. But based off the end of this movie, it seems like he's going to be a much bigger character. And I liked his character for the movie, fitting in with Captain's role in this movie versus the other one being less of a soldier and more of someone who wants out of the war at this point. It was cool just having a shared movie between Captain America and Black Widow. I guess if they're not going to get their own movies, then just, like, have them have a side role here. Like, I wonder if they're going to do it with Hawkeye, and I have no idea who the hell they would do that with. Maybe another Captain America movie in Civil War at some point. But yeah, so having her, like, get some characterization in another movie by herself outside of the Avengers is cool. Makes her feel a more part of the team. Gives her more of a reason for being there. Because, man, Avengers is still weird when I think back to just, Romanoff and Hawkeye just showed up, and Hawkeye was barely a part of it. Like, he was unbrainwashed halfway into the movie.
Yeah.
It feels so weird whenever I have to, like, connect them and to this. Our main bad guys were Pierce and Rumlau, which... Rumlau was the guy at the end that was burnt up?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was him.
Why? Who gives a shit about Rumlow? I could not care about... When we had the thing at the end with the fight scene with him, I was like, wait, what? He's still around? I thought we got rid of him in the elevator scene. This guy is such a non-character. I hate him.
Okay.
They killed all Pierce and Rumlow, like, but him, we gotta keep him around. He's what everybody loves. Speaking of which, Pierce was cool as an antagonist, having somebody that was just all big brain boy and... was just manipulating stuff behind the scenes. Sitwell, I can't believe that he was... The fight with Bartrock, the guy who was the captain on the ship, that was actually pretty dope for a fight. Like, I really, really liked it for a small, little, random-ass dude who's just a good fighter. It's like, cool. And he didn't hold his own or anything. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying, like, oh, it was a good... it's just a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, Batroc has this very, like, acrobatic fighting style that is, like, it's still very distinct from Black Widow's. Yeah. Like, hers is more spy-esque, whereas he's almost like performer.
Yeah, he honestly feels a lot like Daredevil with, like, the spin kicks and stuff.
Yeah, I can see that.
Return of Dr. Zola as well. Oh my god, I love that so much. That whole underground shield facility and seeing Zola again was one of my favorite parts of the entire movie.
In the first movie, like, when Zola's introduced, the first time you ever see his face, it's, like, being distorted in this, like...
magnifying thing. Yeah.
So it looks extremely similar to his, like, electronic face in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Captain America himself... for this movie. I think this movie absolutely showed off his super strength a lot more than both the first Avenger and just the Avengers.
Okay. I think this movie also stood apart in terms of having very little special effects when it comes to the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Like, it is mostly practical.
I could definitely see that. I'll get to that when I talk about some fights specifically.
But I think that specifically, like, it helps ground Cap's strength. Like, every time they do, like, running motions and stuff for him, they don't use, like, a super speed thing. They just have him moving really fast. Or, like, they cut between when he goes behind one pillar and when he appears in the next one.
Yeah.
Or that scene
that
where, like...
is a bit... I didn't like the running, actually.
Okay, really?
Like, at the beginning was alright, but then even then, I hate it when we're seeing him run at a speed, and then he moves behind a pillar, and the camera, like, he was just behind the camera, and the camera moves back again, and he's way far ahead.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make it seem like he's running really fast. It makes it seem like he's running pretty fast, and then has a huge sonic burst of speed, and then goes back to running kinda fast.
Yeah, I can see why that would be weird.
But, like, every time he, like, ran past Sam, like, that was good. I loved that. But, like... yeah, all the stuff where, like, he's running and he goes just ahead of the camera and the camera comes back and it's like he's super far away. It's so goofy. I actually did not like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see why some people would like it because it's more practical or whatever, but I don't know. It felt too goofy to me. It felt too, like, he had to, like, be kicking off the ground and, like, sprinting ahead as fast as possible because he knew the camera was watching. Not just his super strength, but in terms of, like, I guess not constitution, but, not being injured in this.
Like his resilience?
Yes, resilience. Like being able to fall multiple stories onto the shield and still be fine. Or like when Bucky threw the shield at him like so fast, I was like, he can throw it, but like even he doesn't throw it like that fast and stuff. And he grabbed it like super easy. And I was like, okay, that actually really showed off his strength. Like it wasn't even like a oof or anything where he slid back. He just was like, got it.
Right.
But I think the strike team and just this whole movie in general with Romanoff being with him definitely shows that he is, like, he can't be by himself. He's a superhero that does not work alone.
Right.
And I don't mean that as in, like, personally, like, that's his motto, but, like, he just doesn't. He can't work alone. He wouldn't be able to get the job done.
Okay.
He is not, like, he can. He's done multiple fights one-on-one, but, like, in terms of doing a whole thing by himself or whatever, like we see a lot of them do. Yeah, I think he's definitely someone that needs a whole team, and it makes more sense than anybody why he's on the Avengers.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't be able to help the threats if he wasn't.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if anybody else, if the Hulk wasn't on the Avengers and was just like, I show up sometimes when I want to, just fuck it. Like, it would still be, fine, whatever.
Okay.
Peggy being alive, complete shot.
Yeah.
I could not fucking believe that.
Incidentally, that scene was meant to be in Avengers.
I could buy that.
Yeah.
It felt kind of out of place, honestly. And the only reason that I connected to, like, oh wait, no, this is present time. Like, this isn't like a little bit before this movie, was that he was wearing the same clothes from when he went from the museum right to there. Mm-hmm. But it did feel a little bit like a little bit out of place. Like, we didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
It was just like a random scene in the movie, like, by the way, Peggy's still alive.
Yeah.
Like, I can definitely see why that definitely should have been in the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
I think pacing-wise and thematically, it makes a lot more sense to be in the Avengers.
Yeah, the real question is just where do you fit it in?
Yeah.
Like, that's why they ended up cutting it.
I mean, they didn't fit it in here any better either. They just kind of shoved it in there.
Fair.
Fury's van was awesome. Like, just as a piece of tech, every little thing about it was amazing. Oh yeah, the fact that, like, if he's in the car, I assume, or there might be something else to it, but like that it can completely scan his like health to tell if anything's wrong with him at all.
Yeah.
I assume it's the car scanning him and anybody who's in it, rather than him having like a Jarvis that, you know, he has like on his phone and all over, and something's on his body. Could be. But yeah, just the insane amount of armor that, like, how is that even possible? I don't even... But, yeah. Just insane armor, the health scanning things. It's got a fucking machine gun inside of it. It can fly. And it is a Chevy. I love that so much. It's, like, the most fancy super technology car in the world. It's like, Chevy did make this, by the way. Not Shield. This is a Chevy. Oh yeah, just the design of Winter Soldier. Specifically of Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Like, Winter Soldier with the mask, hidden identity, looks awesome. I like it specifically with the goggles, too, and everything. Like, everything being so suited up except for just his forehead and his hair is such an awesome aesthetic. It's so dope.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the elevator fight was awesome. Like, just very unconventional. I loved... We didn't have to hear their plan at all. Like, we just saw the plan. They were planning to get these things around his wrist that would, like, magnetize to the steel. And so he just couldn't fight back, and they were just going to be... Like, it's very smart that they weren't just like, we're just going to get into an elevator with him and beat him up. Like, it was a good plan.
Right.
And I do love that, like, he had enough strength for... If he kept him down here, it was fine. But then I think it was Rumlow who, like, had to kick his arm to, like, smack it back up to get it attached. But yeah, a very, very unconventional fight, but it was awesome. Oh yeah, just, I mean, everything with Hydra in this movie was just, like, knowing that they have been creating history for nearly a decade. Yeah. It's gonna have so much repercussions for just everything going forward. Yeah. The fact that, like, almost every single part of history was created by them, ostensibly, and the Winter Soldier.
And everything that S.H.I.E.L.D. has ever touched, you have to assume Hydra touched it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, they killed Stark as well. We finally found out how he, I mean, not like how he died, but like
car crash.
Why he died.
Yeah.
You know, not just, I mean, I don't think that I buy that it was I might have, maybe, but like, I've kind of always been in the back of my mind of like, what did happen to, like, what happened after he, you know, took over S.H.I.E.L.D.? Like, I figured he was in another mission, like, you know, with Carter and all them, and I assumed him and Carter died together, you know, which is why I was very surprised that Peggy was alive, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh yeah, going back to Iron Man 2, with the Senator trying to get the Iron Man tech for Hydra, specifically, makes a hell of a lot more sense. I mean, it doesn't make a lot more sense now, but, like, I tend to say that a lot when I just mean that, like, it takes on a whole other meaning now.
Yeah.
Oh, Jasper mentioned Stephen Strange when he was talking about who the Lemurian Star would be taking out, just listing off a bunch of people. Could just be a random reference to some super hero thing. I'm assuming that's Doctor Strange? It would be very weird. There was another superhero called Stephen Strange, and but like, I always thought Doctor Strange was a title. I never assumed it was his name. So even when they said it and when I was watching it, I didn't think anything of it. But going back, I was like, wait, Doctor Strange. Yeah, the whole highway fight in general was amazing, though. It was just entirely a gunfight.
Yeah.
Except for Captain America, he was the only one not using guns, which is weird because he used a hell of a lot of guns in the first Avenger.
Right.
Whereas now they're trying to be like, Captain doesn't kill people, even though we saw him kill somebody in the Avengers. Saw him kill a few people in the Avengers.
I mean, there's a difference between trying not to kill people and not killing people.
Yeah, like him just walking through a door and shooting people. Definitely trying not to kill them.
They're all like shots.
Remember when he threw a grenade inside of a tank?
He webbed them to the sides of the buildings.
Yeah, never in 1,000 years saw Bucky coming back. Absolutely. Up until that S.H.I.E.L.D. episode where they randomly brought up his name. I just did not even... I
remember he existed?
Yeah, I didn't even remember he existed, to be honest. He was like... Man, I've talked about it before, but like I remembered the Barbershop Quartet more than I remembered Bucky. But yeah, I can't say I'm very attached to Bucky even now after this movie. I think it's a cool idea for a character. I like the character. But Bucky himself, meh. Don't really care. But yeah, the character itself I'm interested to see in future movies and all that jizzity jazz.
I think he's more impactful because you know that Cap cares about him. Like, even if you don't care about him yourself, you can see that this is a weird world that he's in. It's a completely different time, completely different place. He has so little connecting him to his past. Yeah. And now, literally, his best friend shows up, and he's not even that old.
Yeah. I can feel for Cap in all the scenes, but like me as a person, I don't care about Bucky as a character. Yeah,
totally fair.
Yeah. So at the end, we have Hill is working for Stark. The neighbor apparently went to the CIA. I hope she never comes back.
Wait, she went to the CIA?
Yeah. She went to the CIA.
Okay.
We have the FBI just tying up loose ends with Hydra, apparently. We're shown the twins. One of them had super speed, and one of them had like telekinesis. We are in the age of miracles now, meaning we are now in the age of people gaining superpowers. Again, maybe just because.
Okay.
Like, we don't have an explanation yet, but when it says miracles, I have to assume it's they were born with them, or they got them through means that aren't earthly.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like, been waiting for that. That's the big moment. If somebody's born with powers, that's a game changer. It's a game changer. They're making another staff. It looks exactly like a Loki staff. I have to assume it'll maybe be to brainwash people over to Hydra, perhaps. Rumlau survived. Bucky's on the loose. Fury burned up his like house at his whole past and everything like that. Well, I'm not sure if that was his house. He just burned up something that had a bunch of his stuff in it.
Sure.
And he's faking his death now. Still, he's going to Europe to spy on something. Like, because Romanoff said, no thanks, I don't want to come and be your spy.
What do you think the next Captain America movie is going to be, now that you've seen what the second Captain America movie is like?
Yeah. I think Civil War, and now seeing what this movie was, I was going to say, it feels like more an Avengers movie. I was going to say it could be a big thing of certain people with powers versus other people with powers, like, sort of being at odds with each other and having a big fight in that way, but sort of like coming together, and that forms a much bigger Avengers group for the next Avengers movie. But I mean, that could be it, but why would it be called Captain America? I mean, it could just be if he's leading the side of people with powers. Or I don't know how far ahead Civil War is why I was thinking like that.
Okay.
I assume it's pretty a ways away-ish. See you guys next time. But overall, the whole movie, it is one of my least favorite, not one I dislike. I think that has to do just with the fact that we were introducing 4 people as main characters, so we didn't have much time to really get to know a lot of them as much as we do getting to know one single main character in the other ones. I'm just not into space in general, just in any way. But yeah, so I guess that's just why I had it ranked low. Mainly just because we were sharing screen time between 4 main characters and the space-ness of it. Especially with, I'm already not that into space, and the space and universe that is in Marvel is very boring, honestly. Like, everyone just looks like a human, kind of. It's not that, like, interesting of a space world. I'd say Nowhere was, like, fascinating. That was, like, the only thing, like, as a spacey thing that I was really into. But soundtrack, everything around the soundtrack, absolutely loved. Everything around the music, absolutely loved.
I really do like Guardians. I'd say, like, in terms of overall MCU, it's probably, like, right in the middle. I really appreciated this because of the context of it. Like, when we started the MCU, it was all very realistic, very, like, I wouldn't say gritty,
No.
But, like, it definitely hewed closer to, like, for the comic book fans out there, Ultimate Marvel rather than normal Marvel. Like, it was 21st century. Right here, right now, just a little different. A little extra future science here and there. Whereas Guardians really pulls away and is like, okay, but what about, like, legit straight-up aliens? Like, not the Thor thing of, I guess, it's a weird thing. They're in another world, verse, maybe a planet, who knows? This is just like, no, the entire universe, the galaxy, is populated with alien species. And there's crazy sci-fi garbage everywhere.
Yeah. I do like the movie for that.
Okay.
I did like the feeling of, like, bitch, you don't even fucking know what's out there.
Right. And I do think that then, like, it reflects back on Avengers and on Tony's fear of the world and of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s fear of the great cosmos beyond. By saying, it's not just what we thought of. It's not just a Thanos out there by himself or with, just one group of aliens. It's like, no, there's a whole universe out there. Apart from that, like, I really like the tone for how Guardians-y it is, in the sense that, like, it creates its own tone very clearly.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, with the Thor movie, you can, like, there's a general vaguety of, like, okay, this is kind of what Thor's like, this is kind of what his movies are going to be like. Same with Captain America, like, they're going to be vaguely war-esque. But I think Guardians does a good job of saying, okay, it's a space movie, but also there's this very specific 80s vibe to it all.
Yeah, and even, like you said, like, with Thor and with Captain America and those, you have to, like, pick up on their personality throughout the movie. Even, like, Steve Rogers, you have to pick up on his personality a little bit throughout the course of, like, the first 30 minutes or so, even. With Peter Quill, I feel like I got his entire personality within, like, 5 seconds of seeing him on screen.
Yeah.
Or, like, as an adult.
I can see that.
Like, before he says a single line, you can get pretty much all of his characterization right there. Drax, I absolutely loved. Groot, I absolutely loved. Quill, absolutely loved. Rocket, I just wanted to have more screen time. What I like the most about Rocket is his interaction with Groot, which I think makes Groot shine more than it does make Rocket shine more. Which is, so I guess it's not that he has less screen time, it's just that even with a lot of the screen time he gets, it's making Groot, it's pushing Groot up.
Okay.
Yeah, Gamora is definitely, like, it's just that she is so serious, while all the other ones, like, Drax is so serious in a comedic way.
Yeah.
Or, like, Rocket's seriousness was earned. Or Groot's just Groot. She's just, like, upset and grumpy all the time, which makes sense for her character, but I just don't like... it's hard for me to get attached to those characters.
Right. Okay, fair.
It's hard for me to ever get attached to those characters.
Okay.
It's hard for me to get attached to soldiery, gruff and tumble characters that are... But yeah, Gamora, she's the last survivor of the Zehorabaderi, or whatever. I like that every character in the Guardians of the Galaxy is, again, the thing I bring up in the MCU of the only one.
Right.
Like, only them can do this, is that, blah, 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 whatever. Again, Star-Lord is half whatever, we don't know. His father is someone special, he's the only one who could do whatever is the reason that he is the thing, whatever. Rocket, he's the only kind of his existence. Groot, we don't know what the fuck he is.
Yeah.
Like, we do know what it says origin unknown, but we do know what he is.
Yeah.
He is Flora Colossus, but we don't know where he's from. And Drax is... his whole family was killed.
Yeah.
All of them have a power or a thing or a whatever that makes them the only one. I do love, like, Groot I love because he's so adorable and has no personality, and so Rocket can just, like, assign him this, like, money-grubbing asshole personality. And I love it because Groot doesn't, like, deny it.
Yeah.
Like, nothing he does is, like, showing that he doesn't mean what Rocket is acting like he means.
Yeah.
So, for all we know, he is just a money-grubbing asshole. Yeah. His father was an angel composed out of pure light. This is my prediction.
Okay.
I think it's literal.
Okay.
I think he is literally, his father is literally an angel composed out of pure light.
Okay.
That's what I'm going for. I think his father is a god. Now, big part of his character, dancing, music.
Yeah.
That is what sold me on this movie. Like, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 could go super high up on my list. I think it could be towards the tippity top.
Okay.
This one, there's just a few stuff that really brings it down. The Peter's Quill mom stuff I wasn't really a fan of. Gamora I wasn't really a fan of. And just the throwing exposition at you like fucking crazy at the beginning.
Right.
Like, it was just nuts. It was a little bit too fast for my taste.
Okay, fair.
So I think Volume 2 could definitely reach top of my list, especially with how much I love music and how much I love dancing.
Yeah.
I can't talk about music, which is hard for me.
Right.
I love music. It's so close to me. Anytime music is in anything, the songs will make me connect more to Peter's character.
Right.
But I think it just connects me more to the movie as a whole. But I think that's why 1 and 2 can connect a lot more. So yeah, like just the dancing, the groove, and the everything. It's I love it. I don't know how to talk about it. Because I struggle with my love of music so much that I don't know how to talk about music or what I like in a song or whatever. It's so difficult for me to express that. But
I think you got it across.
Yeah. I want to get across how much I love music and dancing. Not specifically how much I love the music and dancing in this thing, but just how much I love music and dancing in general. So seeing that this is not just a great soundtrack, but very, very focused on dancing is what I love.
Okay.
More than even the music. Oh yeah, the whole conversation with Ronan and Thanos on the floaty rocky island place. Absolutely agree with Thanos that Ronan is just being a big child. I love his actor because the character design is not this. It's specifically this. Gotta have that pout. Gotta have that. He has the permanent pout on his face always. Even if what he's saying is scary or threatening or whatever, just the look on his face is always, but I want to do that. He's just so like throwing a temper tantrum his whole life, from birth to death, a temper tantrum. I didn't really think about Thanos. I didn't think that Thanos was going to be Guardians of the Galaxy at all.
Right.
That was definitely one of the biggest shocks. Oh, yeah. During where Rocket tells Peter to get the prosthetic leg and everything, you can hear him chuckle while giving that line. Like, it comes across as like, well, yeah, it's a ridiculous thing to have to need.
Right.
But it's foreshadowing that, like, oh, yeah, he's just completely fucking lying. Like, you can hear the chuckle in his line there.
It's so good.
And yeah, just the whole escape plan in general was, I mean, not what I was expecting at all. Just fly out of there. Oh, amazing. Yeah, Nowhere. Really cool concept. Like an entire mining community, entire this celestial being's head, which one thing that I talk about a lot is like scale, how hard it is to really show a huge scale of something.
Right.
And I really think they did a great job of showing the scale of this.
Okay.
Everything about it was extremely believable. From being able to see how big it is outside and inside and it not feeling like there's a discrepancy. Well, how have they been mining this thing for years and years and years and years and years and still not come dry? Because it's like, well, the scale of it is understandable. It is realistic.
Yeah.
There's so many movies, TV shows, or manga or anime or whatever where it's just a big thing and it's just like, it doesn't really actually seem that big though. And just the idea that there's so many like natural resources that you can only get from this celestial being, like that's the stuff that made the movie feel more alien. Like Nowhere in general. The idea of like, yeah, there's this materials that only exist in a celestial being because of course they would. It's not an alien, it's a celestial being.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's gonna have some crazy shit to mine in it. The Collector was actually like a character in this, which I loved. Like, I really, really liked him.
Yeah.
And like the little glimpses of him that we got. So it was really cool looking to have him be like a character. Which I like because he's horrible. He's one of the worst people we've probably ever seen in the universe.
Yeah.
And he never comes across as that. He comes across as creepy, but ultimately, yeah, he's just the Collector.
Yeah.
Like, but he is one of the most evil people in the universe, I would say.
I'd agree.
It's so crazy that you can have that distinction where nobody really cares that he's around.
I really do love him as a character because of that.
Yeah.
Like, he has so many weird samples and stuff in his lair. Like, you know, the place he lives is inside of nowhere, inside of, you know, this giant celestial being's head.
Yeah.
Like, there's, he's so different. And, like, when he's introduced, like, he immediately becomes a big deal at the end of Thor 2. When, you know, because he knows what the Infinity Stones are. Yeah. And the Asgardians are willing to give one to him just because, you know, they know it's going to be in safe hands. Yeah. And then, like, throughout this movie, they continue to show that he is a big deal. Like, he never gets nerfed.
Yeah. No. I mean, he gets nerfed in the sense that he loses literally his entire collection, but which I think is crazy that is such a small part of the movie.
Yeah,
like,
Howard the Duck. He's a pretty big Marvel Comics character.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What is he? Just a talking duck?
Yeah.
I mean, is he a superhero?
I mean, I wouldn't call him a hero, but, like, you know, he goes on heroic adventures.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yondu was fantastic. Absolutely loved Yondu. 90% of the reason I loved Yondu was solely because he was played by Michael Rooker.
Now,
shut up. No, I didn't confuse the fact that Michael Rooker and Woody Harrelson are not the exact same person. I definitely didn't do that.
You definitely didn't say that 90% of you liked Yondu was because he was played by Woody Harrelson. You sure didn't say that, did you?
I didn't say, oh yeah, Woody Harrelson, you know, the guy who plays Merle from The Walking Dead. Oh, God. It does feel so disingenuous to say that 90% of the reason I like this is because it's played by Michael Rooker. But yeah, the whistling thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually really liked that they don't explain it at all.
Right.
I assumed it was like given to him by somebody, but I was like, nah, he's just a badass dude in his own right. Like he comes across as incompetent, but he's not.
No,
he's
not at all.
really incredibly capable.
Yeah.
I would love it if we got more Yondu in the second movie. I would not expect to, but if Yondu becomes a reoccurring character, I love it.
In the comics, Yondu was a member of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. You know?
Really?
So like him being in the movie at all is kind of an old reference.
Wow, that's actually cool because yeah, he's not like a bad guy at all.
Yeah.
Really. I would love it if he became a part. If in Endgame Yondu's just fucking whistling around. I want him to shove that arrow up Thanos' pee hole. Speaking of which, we got his title as the Mad Titan Thanos, which is interesting. Like, the Mad Titan, I would expect him to have a more strategist sort of, nothing about Thanos seems mad. The place where he's at is called Sanctuary. I don't know if that's a place that he has taken over, or if that's his home world, or if this is some other place or whatever, or if Sanctuary is literally just this one rock that he's floating on.
Could be.
Like, it legitimately could just be this one rock, which I have to constantly keep asking myself, how do people get here? There's no ship next to it or anything. People are just on this floating rock.
True.
Was that the same guy from Avengers that Ronan killed?
Yeah.
Okay, was it? I loved that. Because I kept being like, who the fuck are you? Like, he's acting so fucking mighty. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then Ronan's just like, and I'm like, alright. I guess he was nobody. I guess the question answered. Thanos just didn't even care. He really was acting like he's Thanos' right-hand man, and Thanos does not acknowledge him dying at all. The whole ending sequence I really loved with the dance-off thing.
Yeah.
The dance battle was amazing. Second best part of the movie aside from the very first scene.
Yeah.
Again, I love the dancing, but that was just perfect. Like, Ronan's character being this, the universe has chosen me, I am the accuser, I will cleanse this world, and then he's just like, come on, fucking dance off, buddy, let's do it. And just him going like, what are you doing? Like, it fits him so perfectly.
It's really good.
Like, if it was Loki, I would imagine Loki just be like, and just just chuckle and zap him or whatever. Like, but Ronan is so serious and so like, I am the ultimate one.
Yeah.
That like this dude just dancing in front of him, just completely just like he has to like completely break character and just be like, what are you doing? Oh, perfect.
Oh, it's so good.
And the effect of the hammer blowing up was awesome. Really cool effect. The whole Guardians of the Galaxy effect was just dope in general, and such a cheesy line, but they earned it.
Yeah. And I do appreciate that it was, like, Ronan named them.
Yeah.
Like, it was sarcastic, and they took it on for real.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Like, yeah. I appreciate it way more when it's something like that, rather than saying, like, we are the Guardians of the Galaxy. But, and it definitely helps it with it, we're the Guardians of the Galaxy, bitch. Like, just adding in the bitch there definitely does help it a lot. If Tony said, I am Iron Man, bitch, it would be so much better of a scene. Oh, I really wish that's what he said. Yeah. Anything else? Just the idea of having a team already. Like, I didn't really think about that. I did just think of it as a title, as a movie title. I wasn't really thinking of it as them being the Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay. But yeah, so now we have the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is interesting because I guess the Guardians of the Galaxy will just be in the Avengers. Like, I'm wondering if the Avengers will be a overall term, and then you have the Guardians of the Galaxy and Fantastic Four and the All-Winter Squad and, whatever.
Okay, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, they're going to
Okay.
be the only ones that are just like, and they also have like a kind of subgroup too.
Okay.
I think it's going to be more everybody's equally an Avenger,
Okay.
which is what we've been doing so far. Again, if we can call Hawkeye an Avenger, we can call anybody an Avenger.
What do you think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 will be?
All about his dad. I guess they're just going to go do some shit with his dad and stuff in space, and it's still going to all be in space. Because I know that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes after Age of Ultron.
Okay.
So, it's going to have to. What's the next movie? It is Age of Ultron, right?
Yes. What hanging plot threads we have going into Ultron?
There's so many. 1,000.
True.
There's no plot point that's been tied up. They did do the whole Loki staff thing with... Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Ultron's Hydra. The last of Hydra in the movies, I would say.
Okay.
A brief Hydra focus.
Okay.
Like, Hydra created this thing, and then it destroys Hydra. Ultron just sounds like a robot name. Tron, you know. Alright, I'll see you guys for the next one. Avengers, Age of Ultron. I think it is very much so what I would expect from an Avengers movie. And that's not bad. I don't think it's bad. But it certainly feels like it's being played safe. It's very average. But that said, I have an insane amount to talk about. And it was just a great movie in and of itself. But what is the general gist of people's opinions on the movie, would you say?
I'd say this is where most people started to not sour on the MCU, but it's where people started to like say that there was a formula to it.
Okay.
Because like it is a good movie, but it's also one with a lot of like weirdness to it. And it's one especially that had a lot of problems with trying to balance everything.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I do think they did a very good job of balancing it. Like, I think this is the best paced movie out of all of them. Like, but in the same way that it's played very safe. Like, it doesn't try and do any. There was no point that really felt like a dip. Especially almost every movie, I hate the like melodramatic dip, which was about 8 minutes in this movie. There was like an 8-minute, we're on the farm, we had a little moment with Banner and Romanoff, and the rest of it wasn't really that like melodramatic.
Right.
Let's talk about the villains of the movie. Of course, the biggest villain in the entire movie, Baron Wolfgang von Strucker. I was so happy how fast they just like nipped him in the bud. Like, even he himself just like, no, surrender. I'm gonna surrender. Was not expecting that at all. Being extremely cocky in his whole plan with Ultron 2, like, all right, I'm gonna turn myself in, they won't find our other stuff. Just none of that worked at all.
Yeah.
Like, for the highest, smartest guy at Hydra, he's such a joke.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Red Skull, by the way...
Oh yeah. You should bring this up now.
I guess I should bring this up now. While taking these notes about the Infinity Stones and from that, I was going back to First Avenger, wanted to see how the Tesseract blew up the Red Skull. I don't know how I missed that. Definitely didn't blow him up. Definitely sent him in space somewhere. Definitely still alive, even though it's been 70 years. I'm not sure how it's going to work. It shot him through time and space, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know how that would work, but that's the only thing I can think of. So Red Skull's in space somewhere.
Yeah.
He's gotta be. He's gotta be. Probably Ragnarok, I feel like we'll see him again. Strucker's men, the whole base here, definitely way more amped out than any of the other Hydra soldiers we've seen. And I really like that you can see the ranks of them just through the whole like fight. The extremely low ranking infantry that just has the normal ass guns. You got the vehicle support with the giant machine guns or just the blue beam cannons. The high ranking infantry equipped with the blue beam Hydra weapons, which the Tesseract powered the Hydra weapons, and they still hold a charge from back then because it's the Tesseract, it's an Infinity Stone, it's got a lot of juice in it. That charge is probably going to last hundreds of years. But the beam they're shooting out is not Tesseract, it is blue beam, as I'm going to refer to it as.
Okay.
The highest ranking infantry looked like they had Chitauri armor and weapons. Assumingly they got that all from the giant Chitauri bus, as I called it. The giant thing that all the Chitauri were coming off of when they came in. It seems like they stripped them off of that as opposed to just Chitauri soldiers and stuff. And they had the aerial troops that had like Stark-like thrusters on them. Yeah, if he retrofitted the repulsors onto the shield helicarrier, Hydra should have that information anyway. Like, they should have all that, how to do that.
Right, yeah.
They were using the Mind Stone to bring out the powers in the twins. I don't understand how well that works, but okay. How do you hold an AI up to somebody and they develop super speed?
With Wanda, I think it makes more sense because like her abilities are very mind based.
Yeah, like she does create a big shield with it. It is so it's going into their ears and doing something with their brain.
Also, it doesn't seem like she decides on what people see.
No.
Like, they see their greatest fear, implying that she's just hitting a greatest fear trigger or something in there.
She just hits that nightmare button.
She can pick up stuff with red stuff, but you can also put the red stuff in you in order to hit the nightmare trigger.
I hate it.
And then Quicksilver.
Oh.
Quicksilver's a bit rough with the Mind Stone.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if he can think, you know, if he's moving around,
if he can think he's moving real fast, he can.
Because like
we know his body's physically different.
Yeah, but we see from his point of view, like his thoughts are moving at the same speed as his body. Like he essentially sees the world in slow motion.
Yeah.
So
because he's got a fast metabolism.
Because he thinks real hard, and when your mind works really hard, it uses up all the calories in your body.
Oh no, not this.
So what I'm thinking is that Quicksilver thinks so hard that the rest of his body has to speed up to keep up with his minds.
I hate it, and I hate you. I really thought during this whole opening sequence that this was in media res. It took me a while to realize that it was not in media res.
That's worrying because I know you don't like in media res.
Oh, I hate in media res.
Just blank out and wait for it to be explained.
No, I do.
Oh no.
We still have no idea what the fuck happened to Hawkeye after The Winter Soldier. We know that Black Widow and Captain America got on Stark payroll. We already know that Hill did. Banner's been working for Stark since Avengers. So Thor has just been chilling in Jane's apartment, I guess. Does she still have an apartment? We don't know. But she's won Nobel Peace Prizes at this point. Yeah. So she better not still have that apartment. But yeah, I don't know if he's still living in the apartment. If it is, I would love to see that sitcom of Thor, Darcy, intern Ian, and Selvig just all crammed in his apartment while Jane is off doing important shit. Like in between raids, you know, they have been doing raids this entire time. But
of course,
you know, they gotta have some days off where Thor is just in his underpants eating some Captain. I was eating some Captain Crunch. I was about to say Captain America.
You don't know.
That's a bad fanfic.
Loki, still Odin, presumably.
Loki, still Odin. Loki, by the way, running Asgard pretty good. It's been a year, and he has been on top of shit. I'm really liking this new Odin. But they've been doing this for a year, just raiding, I guess, small-time little Hydra bases. I'm pretty sure they're done. Hydra is gone.
Okay.
I don't... Hydra can never be fully killed, I don't think. You know? But for the most part, I think as a main villain of a movie or even a TV show or anything like that, I don't think they're going to be a thing anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I am a sucker for interconnecting fights, and the end was like one big interconnecting shot, but it was really quick. You know, it wasn't that much of a shot. That whole fight at the beginning, even though the CGI was not that great, it was a dope interconnecting fight. There were so much team-ups this movie.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so many just team-up attacks. Especially Cap and Thor. Cap and Thor work so well together.
Yeah.
Fucking love them. Let's move on to the big man himself. Well, you know, he's not a man, but he's kind of a man.
Okay.
Ultron. He is a fascinating villain, but not one that is easy to talk about. I am in love with the concept called high strangeness. I feel like it's pretty easy to grasp what it is. It's high strangeness. It's stuff that is really fucking weird that you can't explain. I mean, it's stuff like Cthulhu and stuff like, you know, the great gods and everything like that.
Okay.
But that's a little bit different. That is, like, crazy shit is happening, but you know it is because of elder gods.
Right.
Whereas the best kind of high strangeness is when you can't chalk it up to anything at all. Like, Ultron. He initiates for no reason. There's no scientific, logical reason why he should have initiated. He just did.
Right.
And maybe that has to do with the power of the Mind Stone just being around again. Maybe it's, you know, radiating some sort of effect. But we don't know. We don't know how he initiated. It is complete high strangeness, and everything about him is complete high strangeness built off of that. Like, it's done so well with him being so incomprehensible, and at times he starts to make sense, and then he just completely goes off on some weird thing that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure why the fuck they were acting like Ultron might be right by saying that the Avengers are what's wrong with the world. Like, if he was saying humans are what's wrong with the world, I think that would make him a little bit more logical of a villain. But what makes him so crazy and so high strange is this idea that the Avengers are what's wrong with the world. Like, and I want to legitimately ask the question, what the fuck did they ever do?
Not a
What
lot.
did they ever do?
That is a bit of a jump. I do think he would have been more justified if he had said Tony Stark. I'd say it's probably a skewed version of his directive, which is Ultron is supposed to make the Avengers obsolete.
Yeah,
So
I guess that is what it's supposed to be there.
Yeah, like he's twisted it in his mind into the Avengers are what's wrong with the world.
You know what? I take it back. He's not very high strangeness. He's very understandably just broken. I mean, the how he initiated is still high strangeness. I honestly hope we never get an explanation for that, because I think that's the strongest point of his character. And yeah, all his like pseudo-religious horseshit was fantastic, where he just kept like, why is he so into religion? Why he was obsessed with religion and meteors.
Yeah.
For like no reason.
I mean, that's just high school.
Yeah. Religion and meteors, that's high school, baby. Villains, Act 3. We got two more to talk about real quickly. Nick Fury. I cannot believe that he has the fucking balls to come to Tony and says, so, you're gonna shut this down, right? Like, after everything he's done, he has the balls to come to Tony and say, you're gonna shut this down. You're gonna shut this down. This program that should do no... Like, what? This program is perfectly safe. I'm so mad that S.H.I.E.L.D. is back as big as it is. Kind of not looking forward to it being in the movies. And Fury, especially, I thought it was going to be a lot longer without Fury in another movie.
Okay.
But I can't say that I like Fury's character. Like, I love Howard Stark as a character, but I can't say that I like Fury as a character, because I just don't feel like he's interestingly written.
Okay.
Like, I thought I was going to, but I don't know. I don't really like him in the same way that I like Howard, in which he is a complete shithead and one of the worst people in the world, but, you know, everybody treats him like he's a shithead, one of the worst people in the world.
Okay.
You know, you're not supposed to root for him.
Right.
Or it feels like I'm supposed to be rooting for Fury. Like, that's why I thought he was an interesting character, but now it just feels like I'm supposed to be rooting for him. And I don't know why I'm supposed to be rooting for him. So, let's talk about the plot.
Oh boy, it's plot time.
Oh, now we're talking about the plot. Infinity Stones. There's 6 in total. There's the Tesseract, which is portals or teleportation or something. There's the Aether, which I don't know what it is. There's the Orb, which is not the Orb, which is destruction. And then there's the Mind Stone, which is just vision. I don't know what it is when it's not vision. It also can do a laser beam. So they all might just do laser beams. And they're back at Avengers HQ, which it seems to just be also Stark Industries, I guess. Like, just one and the same at this point. Which, fine, better than S.H.I.E.L.D. Getting to see all the Avengers mingling with each other, mingling with the guys who weren't a part of the Avengers yet, mingling with old war vets and politicians and richy rich people, because that's just... you know, the life they live now at this point. Yeah. Tony and Thor's whole dick measuring contest with their girlfriends. The big trope there is just having the normal ass secret identity wife or girlfriend or whatever. But like, I am glad it's like, yeah, running the company, got a Nobel Peace Prize. Like, Jane is one of the most geniuses of the world and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I really appreciate that. Yeah, so then the whole lifting of the hammer scene, everybody going around trying to do it, that was hilarious. And
such a good scene.
Yeah, really, like, exemplifies all the best parts about all of their characters and everything. And fucking, I called it. I called it. Cap is going to be able to pick up that hammer at some point. I feel like it's going to be a big character arc of him picking up that hammer. It budged a little bit. We're getting there. But what the hell does worthy mean? We're going to have to get to that when we get to Thor.
Of course.
Also, yeah, them all hanging out there trying to pick up that hammer, like, actually really sold me on the fact they've been hanging out for a year. Like, they feel like buddies now. They don't just feel like they're just doing this as a job or whatever.
Right.
And Rhodey fits right in. Rhodey's just... I'm so happy that he is... like, I was not expecting them to be Avengers, Rhodey and Falcon. So, very happy about that. Especially with Rhodey. He fits in perfectly. And yeah, Banner doing like the fake out lift attempt, going like, "Oh, so strong, but I can't lift it. Oh no, sorry guys, I can't lift it." And then the whole fight breaking out, and them all having to fight without any of their weapons, without any of their gear or anything. Thor had his hammer, so he was pretty fine throughout the whole fight. He didn't really struggle at all. But everybody else, Tony was just going around punching robots, ripping them apart with his bare hands. Tony stabbing them with a fucking kebab stick. And Rhodey, Hill, and Natasha were just shooting them with pistols, which I gotta say, if the Iron Legion can be taken down with pistols, Tony, what the fuck are you building? Like, I'm pretty sure I could build a robot that wouldn't be taken down by a pistol.
I mean, those are the crowd control models. It's fine.
They're really bad. Everybody hold their own. Barton threw Cap a shield. Did that much. We have Ulysses Claw.
Oh, yeah.
The main villain of the whole movie.
Can't believe you didn't put him in the list of 15 villains.
He is the South African black market arms dealer. Vibranium comes from Wakanda. That's the entirety of my notes for him. Yeah, I didn't even mention anything about the Wakanda thing. I recognize the name as being the place where Black Panther takes place. Did not know it was just going to be in South Africa. I absolutely adore that this whole movie and fight was being about saving people rather than about, like, you know, a big war, a big fight or anything like that. Like, you know, ultimately that is what it's always going to be about, even the Battle of New York. But it was way more fighting than it was, you know, they weren't really saving that many people. Cap was going over, it was more just like, go that way.
Right.
Whereas it was primarily focused on the saving rather than the fighting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with what Petro said. This is what S.H.I.E.L.D. should be. Yeah, this ain't so bad. This ain't so bad when they're just making lifeboats, saving a bunch of people, when they're not Project Insighting it up, when they're not Tesseracting it up, when they're not still committing crimes against humanity, when they're not having Cap go, you know, "Oh, Strucker, you bad man doing illegal human experimentation. Oh, Fury, I'm so glad to meet you, you bad man who's done illegal experimentation." And probably still is. I don't know for certain if the illegal human experimentation is going on. I assume that Hydra actually stopped most of that when they took them out of the fridge in the sandbox. Now, to be fair, being a part of Hydra and brainwashed, not better, but, you know, what I'm saying is I assume that's not still going on because the fridge and sandbox has been raided.
Okay.
That said, there's still plenty of other indexed individuals who are not at the fridge or the sandbox who are still having crimes against humanity done to them. So, you know, if we could fix that, then S.H.I.E.L.D., once we fix the index, S.H.I.E.L.D. can start being better again. Also, Fury's not in charge because he cannot be trusted. We've been shown 1,000 times he cannot be trusted. So, now, let's talk about the Avengers.
Oh boy, it's why we're here.
It's why we're here. Tony Stark. No, we're starting on Steve Rogers, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Steve Rogers, Captain America, leader of the team. His nightmare, given to him by Wanda. All the lives that he hasn't been able to save, the whole line of "the war is over, imagine it," and then all those people disappear. The war is never really over thing, so the line of "the war is over, imagine it," but it's never really over. You know, the nightmare he's been trying to pretend that the war is over.
He is the perfect soldier, but no one else is. So no matter what, if he goes to war, or if he's just in a fight, there's always going to be people around him who aren't as strong as him, not as tough as him. If he tries to save every single civilian, like, people are going to die. People definitely die in Sokovia.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's his demon, and it's not that bad of a demon, but it's still gonna haunt him, because there's nothing he can really do to stop it.
Yeah. Every time people try to end a war before it starts, innocent people die. Every time. Very obviously coming off of Winter Soldier and Project Insight and all that shit. But yeah, like it's. I mean, there's nothing more I can add on to it.
Yeah.
Duh. Obviously. Yeah, Tony's saying in Iron Man 1, they say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I prefer the one you only have to fire once. Also, find an excuse to let one of these off the chain, and I can personally guarantee you the bad guys won't even want to come out of their caves. Yeah. Every time you try to end a war before it starts, innocent people die. Every time. Let's move on to Thor. His nightmare. That he'll be a bad king, I believe is what it was. And why? I think it's just because he's been having doubts about being worthy. Thor 2, we've seen that with, him saying, I don't want to be king.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy of being king. And now with his face dropping and his heart, like, you could see his heart racing when Cap picked up that hammer and, like, moved a little bit. He's like,
oh boy.
But it's a funny moment, but it's also like, he is thinking, what I've brought up for a long time. Thor is one of the only ones who doesn't have something that makes him special. Everybody else has something that makes him special aside. Again, I would say that Hawkeye still doesn't have anything that makes him special. Like Romanoff had her espionage. But yeah, he has had nothing special about him. He has his armor. He has his hammer. And he has being Asgardian. But that's not something unique about him.
Right.
He is probably the strongest Asgardian, but I would argue that's not because of him. It's just because he's fucking ripped. He is even on a non-magical level. Of course he's the strongest Asgardian. Look at him. Yeah. He doesn't have anything uniquely unique about him, but that might have changed this movie.
Oh.
He, in his second vision, had the lightning coming off of his own body. And in the vision, in the nightmare, I don't want to say vision,
sure.
In the nightmare, he had the lightning coming off of him and killing people. So that might be what makes him special. He can have the electricity coming off of him, whatever the hell it is. So in the nightmare, we see Heimdall being blind. Also, who's choking Thor, saying, "You're a destroyer, Odinson." Not sure what that means. There was someone in a black cloak that was there. Maybe Thanos' best friend coming back from the dead. Saw a constellation of the Infinity Gauntlet doing a fist bump and 4 stones on it. So then he goes into the ayahuasca water.
Oh, yeah.
I was so lost in what was happening for a while there. Eric says, in every realm, there is a reflection. Which, again, another example of what the fuck are they talking about? Why? Why are the realms so specific? I don't get it. Why is it that so much stuff only happens in the realms and happens nowhere else? I don't get it. And he also says something about, like, Thor's like, well, the water spirits accept me or something. What? Why does Earth have water spirits? Thor says that he saw a whirlpool that sucks in all hope of life, and at its center is the Mind Stone. No prediction.
No?
No, I can't. I have no one that can predict that. None of this ayahuasca water. I have no predictions.
I will also say,
being worthy. What does it mean? He originally became worthy when he planned to sacrifice his life to save a planet of people he had just met, which is insinuating that Cap would not do that, but Vision would. They talk about the Vision can pick it up because he's a robot and that he's an AI, but I don't know if that's true. I think he actually is worthy of picking it up because I believe that he would probably put down his life to save a planet of people he's never met.
I mean, theoretically, he tried to in this movie. Yeah.
He's made of vibranium. If the whole thing blew up, he'd be fine.
Okay, fair.
He had no point in this movie was in any danger. Thor and Vision had a talk while everybody else was getting ready that we did not hear. But yeah, so it's interesting that Cap wouldn't do that. Like that he wants to protect humans. He doesn't want to protect aliens. I mean, what does it say about Thor and him? What does that say about him and the twins? Because the twins are alien enhanced, so. But either way, that might be a thing we're getting into with Cap. Selvig gonna keep appearing, which I'm glad. The fact that he's at the Avengers facility now is cool. Thor, surprisingly, having some of the strongest comedy in this movie. My favorite moment was the stepping on the Legos and just swiping it onto the chair, and he just looks at Cap with like, just do not say anything to anybody about this.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on to Tony Stark. His nightmare was that pretty obviously all the Avengers are dead except for him, and because of him. Mm-hmm. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty spelled out for you. Yeah. Why? Because he's been stressing out over the alien invasions and everything since Avengers. He still has. He's been in a perpetual panic state just since then.
Yeah.
Which, understandably, because he's been the only one of them that's been to another world and come back. Mm-hmm. Aside from Thor, who doesn't count because he's fucking alien.
I mean, Thor's fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, Thor's not going to be weirded out by it. Everyone else is just pretty chill with the fact that aliens invaded.
Yeah.
Everybody on Earth is just pretty chill with it. They talk about it from time to time, but really, nobody's really doing a goddamn thing about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy, because aliens invaded twice.
Yeah.
Do something about it.
A lot of bad stuff's happening.
Not on that level.
You got the terrorism, you got the Hydra.
Terrorism and Hydra's nowhere near aliens twice. One of which was from before time. I mean, most people probably don't know that. I assume they didn't go on the news and were like, by the way, that aliens that attacked, they were before time existed.
Yeah, it's probably just the one in most people's minds. It's probably just Battle of New York.
I feel like if aliens invaded twice, I wouldn't be like, oh, but the second one was so overshadowed by the first.
I mean, the Twin Towers got bombed twice.
Yeah, and nobody was like, well, I didn't remember the second one because of the truck.
No one talks about the first one because of the second one.
What? That's two very different things. I mean, it's aliens! It's aliens! It's aliens! It's aliens! I feel like, why do I have to, in all of my discussions for anything MCU, I have to scream, it's aliens! Why am I crazy for saying that? It's aliens!
Sure, Tony believes in you.
We should really be having a connection with Asgard. First of all, how has that not happened? It's been like 6 years! What are we doing? Thor is an Avenger! Set up a trade route!
I mean, if Thor and Loki were switched, like if Thor was the bad guy, if Loki was the good guy, Earth and Asgard would probably have, trade and stuff. They'd be talking.
Certainly!
I think it's because it's Thor that no one's brought up, like, hey, can we talk to Odin?
It's a thing of, like, sure, they don't want Earth people up on Asgard because Earth people are pigs. I get it. We're goats, we're garbage, and they hate our guts. I get it. Thor sacrificed his life for a planet of people he's never met, and then it was like, you guys can just fuck with this box that's an Infinity Stone for a while, and I'll just tell you nothing about it! It's wild how little connection there is between Asgard and Earth.
Yeah, agreed.
So, Tony, again, he is being the most logical here when it comes to, like, his plan for aliens during that. Him and Banner are completely logical. They did nothing wrong. Okay. But you can't really explain that to someone like, Cap, who has no idea what any of this tech is.
Right.
Thor, who has no idea what any of this tech is. Both of them, they have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So you're not going to explain this to them. But yeah, I do think that when push comes to shove, Tony would have done the most logical thing that would have gotten them all killed. Like, I don't think that's Ultron, but I do think that, in general, some sort of scenario would have come up and he would have saved his own ass as opposed to, helping them or saving their ass or something. But I don't think he would now. I think now he would do the illogical thing. I think now he would, stay behind and help. Right. He has that, the shonen spirit now. Friendship is magic. Yeah, when Cap's saying that, they'll all die together, but he knows that would absolutely not be true, like, and that's not a, like, oh, I'm stronger than all of you. He just knows that, like, no, I'm not gonna die with you guys. Like, I mean, and this is, again, before the end of this movie, right. I think. He was just, like, in his mind, like, there's no way I'm dying with you guys. I will be the last one to die, just because I'm not gonna stick around while everybody else here is more altruistic than I am.
Right.
First he gave up the arms dealing, and now he's given up the concept of weighing lives. We got plenty of new gear. First off, we got the Iron Legion, which is just garbage. We've talked about that. We don't need to talk about it anymore. I do want to say that just like, of course nobody was listening to it. Of course, everybody was just throwing rocks at it and saying, fuck you, Robot Man. Like, look at Marty the Robot in grocery stores. And now try and do that to, protesters and people in a country where war's going on. Like,
right.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. The Jarvis satellite. When the fuck did he have time to build a whole satellite? Tony! Like, supposedly they've been doing all this for like a year, this raid. Meanwhile, Tony is still building all this crap.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. It just fires out all his suits anywhere in the world where he needs it. So, yeah. I mean, assumingly, maybe he would have to have multiple satellites in, because they couldn't just fire out a suit anywhere in the world.
Between the satellite and his house, he should be more or less covered.
I guess so. Got the AI and comms for, like, everybody. Yeah, so they said that he started out as a natural language UI. So I'm guessing that he's just named after Jarvis and is not an AI based off of Jarvis's personality, or, Jarvis died in some tragic way and he turned him into an AI in some way. It does seem like because he didn't start out as an AI, it couldn't have been based on his personality.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's the implication at all.
Yeah, so it's just named after Jarvis.
Yeah.
So and then we have Veronica, which is the Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
Really just cool seeing those in action. The anti-Hulk containment unit could definitely still work. He just needs to create a bottom for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could definitely still work. Just Veronica itself, not even the satellite, but Veronica holds the Hulkbuster, the Hulk suit, it holds the extra pieces for the Hulk suit. Yeah. Hulkbuster itself easily destroys itself for repair, which is incredibly impressive in and of itself that it can just destroy itself so easily. And I'm not even talking about like grabbing a piece and destroying it, but it like self-destroys. Like his arm, he did nothing to it, he was just holding his arm like this, and the arm was just going and just dismembering itself.
Right.
Which is awesome. Like, that the suit has a self-destruct mode that is not a complete self-destruct. Like, he can self-destruct any part of the suit. And not, like, the whole arm, but, like, individual pieces. He was just, like, break that, break that, break that. As in, like, making the pieces come undone.
Yeah, it's modular.
Yeah, I don't know how that fucking happens. I mean, just all of the Iron Man stuff is so malleable.
Right.
Like, you can break it, bend it, smash it, destroy it, and then just plug in another one, and it's like, it's fine! It is near upon impossible to really do lasting damage to the Iron Man suit, like, in a fight.
Right.
If you're not ripping off an entire piece of it, you're doing no damage to it.
Right.
In the Hulkbuster suit, and almost all of it was like crushed, ripped, he had wires, everything was exposed. Jarvis couldn't talk, all the systems were down, and he could still do flight and missiles and like all this other crap. It's just like, what does he even need to do this? It's unbeatable. He's got a new operating system now because Jarvis is gone.
Yeah.
Friday, there was also on the table, it looked like Tadashi and Iyasta or something?
Okay.
I don't know, other like little chips he had.
Yeah.
We found out that he's the one who designs everything for the Avengers, apparently.
Yeah.
No designers. He's the sole designer for Stark Technologies. That is insane. And also, insanely good style choice. Just like design sense in general.
Right.
Like, he's got insane design sense. Crazy. Next up, we got Bruce Banner. His nightmare is basically just what was happening also. Like, what he was doing was probably just also happening in his mind.
Right.
Why? I mean, because he's the Hulk? Like, do I need to... Why? Because he's the Hulk. I don't have to say anything else about that. So, the Hulk control. Let's talk about the Hulk control. He is able to Hulk out, he is able to control the Hulk, but he is not able to banner in.
Now, what do you mean by control the Hulk?
I mean control the Hulk in the way that a jockey controls a horse. You would not say that the jockey is the horse.
Right.
But the jockey is definitely controlling the horse.
Okay.
The horse may try and do something, but the jockey has control of the horse.
Okay.
Like, we see Hulk once smash Romanoff, but he controls it so Hulk no smash Romanoff.
Ah.
But he can't ban her in. Let's talk about his relationship with Natasha.
Mm-hmm.
I like his relationship with Natasha. I wish he acknowledged Ross in any way.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
They were, it was a big thing. I loved her character and them together because one of the only arbitrary forced love interests that all the characters have to have in their movie that was, like, immediately interesting to me off the bat.
Okay.
Because you could actually tell that he loved her. I could feel the love for Ross from him because even in his Hulk state, he was willing to be with her.
Right.
The Hulk feels like two different characters. Banner, feels like two different characters. I can't picture Banner in Incredible Hulk doing what he did at the end of this movie. Like, why did he run away? I know why he ran away. Like, I get why this Banner would run away that we've established since Avengers, but, like, man, I really wish we had the old Banner back, the Banner I actually liked. I have seen neither Mark Ruffalo nor Edward Norton in any other thing that I can think of. Maybe I have, but I don't know them as actors at all, aside from these movies, so I have no bias in this.
Fair.
God, Mark Ruffalo, like, he's okay, but he's just, like, every scene, he feels like he's acting in a play rather than in a movie. It might not be about him, but just also the way the character's written. It's just, I am not into this Banner character. I keep thinking that, like, this one they're gonna make me like Banner more. Nope. Don't. I don't dislike him. While I'm watching the movie, it's entertaining, but I don't really think about, whenever I think about Bruce Banner, my mind immediately goes to the Incredible Hulk, because I just don't like this one.
Fair.
Speaking of which, Romanoff, her nightmare was people finding out what she's done / just reliving her past, I guess, in general.
I took it as just, her nightmare is just what she already did. Like, there's nothing that could possibly be worse than what she already went through.
Well, there was the two little girls with no mouths. That could be tied back into something. I don't know what the hell that's about. Two little girls with no mouths. That's gonna be tied back into something. Did forget about that.
Okay.
I do like her characterization with the, struggling with what she had to do for the KGB and what she, has had to do for S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm very interested to see what she's going to do after this, because it does seem like she's just going to be working for S.H.I.E.L.D. again, even though that was kind of her whole character arc at the beginning of working for S.H.I.E.L.D. now, which isn't much better than the KGB. And yeah, she was the only one not to try to lift the hammer. I believe that's because she herself knows she isn't worthy. Like, she believes that, whether, it's true or not. Yeah, that was a nice moment. She didn't even try. She knows. So, what new gear did she get this movie? Well, her thighs are literally stronger than the fucking Iron Legion.
Oh, boy.
So, the Iron Legion, weaker than Pistol's, weaker than Black Widow's thighs. Or no, the ones that they were fighting on Sokovia. They were built by Ultron. So,
I believe so.
The robots built by an android, crushed by human thighs.
Ultron is a child. He doesn't understand the birth-giving thighs.
He's so stupid.
He was made by two men. He doesn't understand the thighs.
Her thighs are so strong. They're the deadliest weapon in the MCU so far.
It's part of the training.
Clint Barton, if he had a nightmare, what would it be? Well, it'd be him getting left behind or killed because everybody else ignored him. Like, I definitely think that's what we were, insinuating about this movie.
Okay.
He and his wife were both worried that, he would get gravely injured and then the Avengers would just be like, you gotta get out of here. Who cares? It's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And it's understandable because everybody, mainly the audience, has been making fun of him the entire time. But I gotta say, this movie did do a very, fantastic job of really spinning it 180 on me, of going, okay, I see why Black Widow is a part of the Avengers. She's got the espionage shit going on. She's the best in the world at it. I get why she's on the Avengers, even if she's a normal human. Hawkeye, he's just the dude with a crossbow. Hawkeye is still just the dude with a crossbow, but his crossbow can do so much. Whereas now Romanoff, I cannot find a reason why she should be a part of the Avengers. I don't want to joke and just say, well, her thighs can crush robots. Realistically,
okay. Fair.
why is she a part of the Avengers? the espionage is bullshit. Also, him like brushing off the mind control attack and saving all the Avengers' asses at that moment was very satisfying. Hawkeye's family was great. Seeing that, big twist. Hawkeye gets along with people. He's not an incel. It is a great way to make him stand out as a character, having a family. None of the others have a family, or even, Pepper and Tony are not a family.
Yeah.
Jane and Thor are not a family. Also, literally none of the Avengers have a wife or a husband yet. I don't know why that feels weird, but it does. Let's move on to the Maximoff twins.
Oh boy. We did mention this briefly off camera that the Maximoffs are, in fact, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver of famous X-Men fame.
Do they ever say Scarlet Witch in the movie?
No.
Okay.
There's one line where they call her Witchy.
Ah.
And I don't think they bring up any mention of Quicksilver.
No.
Yeah.
I thought his name was Blur. When he said, oh yeah, that guy's a blur. I always look for that, one word, it's the
you
name.
gotta. 99% of the time, it works.
Yeah. I think I predicted that her name was Weird. I was like, I think his name is Blur and her name is Weird to you. I don't think I ever said it on camera, but anyway.
Marvel Studios and 20th Century Fox got into a hot fight over these two because they argued that the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are also Avengers characters. They were part of the second ever Avenger team.
Okay.
They've been Avengers characters for a long time.
Damn.
Both 20th Century and Marvel Studios went to courts, and they decided we can both use these characters. However, they cannot legally be mutants.
Yeah.
Which is why we got the whole Mind Stone thing.
Yeah.
And, of course, they can't be related to Magneto, not even in, a winky thing.
Yeah.
And, at the same time that the casting specifically for Quicksilver was announced for Age of Ultron, the casting for Quicksilver for X-Men Days of Future Past happens.
Okay.
So we had two movies coming out, not the exact same time, but within very close proximity, using the same character who could not legally be considered the same character.
Well.
So, X-Men went very hard on Quicksilver. Age of Ultron killed him off.
Yeah.
So you can see pretty clear how they delineated it. And, of course, because Marvel decided to try and really cement their control on the two characters, so in the comics, they're also not mutants anymore.
Okay.
Wait. That's super duper far down the line.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to get to. Yes. I don't know if you mean they stopped being mutants or they introduced, different Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver that aren't mutants.
I refuse to elaborate.
Okay. So, the two of them. They were in a bombing that happened at 10. They got caught. Their whole country is just caught in between a war. Not as in their country is involved in the war. Just literally, their country is caught in between physically a war.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stark missile flies in right in front of their face. Doesn't go off for 3 days. Except Tony did go off immediately. As you said, I didn't make that connection until you brought it up, but yeah, that's a strong-ass connection to Iron Man 1 with the missile right in front of Tony's face. But, yeah, that missile fucking blew up for Tony's face, didn't blow up for them. Yeah, so, and then they went and joined Hydra because, from their perspective, ultimately, I can't imagine how they would not know they're Nazis, but at this point, maybe they've convinced them, whatever. The Nazi thing is a bit weird, but ultimately, anybody joining Hydra is gonna be okay with Nazi shit, I guess. So, they got that going on, but aside from them just kind of joining a Nazi organization, it doesn't, from their perspective, from after Winter Soldier, after all the, stuff that's come to light from what S.H.I.E.L.D. has been doing over the years, it makes sense that they're just yeah, and it's not really much of a difference.
Right.
Joining Hydra versus Black Widow joining S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, it's a difference, but it's not enough of a difference for me to hold it against them and be like, oh, they're not allowed to be in the Avengers, they were in Hydra.
Right.
If Captain America was a part of S.H.I.E.L.D., they're allowed to be part of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, that's the entire thing about Black Widow's whole character is. She left a really bad organization to join a kind of bad organization. And yeah, Pietro and Wanda, Those two motherfuckers giving the entire damn Avengers a run for their money, just these two, because having real powers. You know, Thor has lightning. That's not a power. You know what I mean? There's a difference between having Captain America, between being able to shoot out some lightning, and having some super speed, having whatever the fuck Wanda is. Which I guess let's get into that.
Sure.
The Scarlet Witch is mental manipulation, neuroelectric interfacing, and telekinesis. Telekinesis, I get. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it, but I get it as a word. Telekinesis. Sure. It makes sense why they call it that. It is a physical thing. It's not telekinesis. It is a physical thing. She can also make a shield out of it and stuff. That's not I mean, maybe that's not, but it's also physical. It is physical. Telekinesis can't be physical. At least I don't think so. I don't know. Overall, though, she just seems to have the abilities of the Aether, it seems, plus mental abilities. I don't see what is different about the Aether other than her mental abilities.
Right.
All the telekinesis, the shield, the flying should all be doable with the Aether.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what the Aether is. So I don't know what the difference is between the Aether and the Mind Stone and Scarlet Witch. Quicksilver. He has increased metabolism and improved thermal homeostasis. How the fuck does that make him run fast? His ability is just explaining why he doesn't die when he runs fast. But it doesn't explain why he runs fast.
I mean, have you considered that everyone could run fast if they just didn't suffer the side effects?
Holy shit. That is what it is. That's legitimately, if his ability is increased metabolism and improved thermal homeostasis, everybody can run at that speed, they would just die. Science is incredible. All the slow-mo looked incredible, looked amazing. Rip our first Avenger. First Avenger, down in the dust. It died the movie was introduced.
Saved Hawkeye.
Saved Hawkeye's life.
Took that death flag like a champ.
I dug him a lot. I loved him. I loved both of them. If we did not have both of them there, 90% of the people we saved would be dead, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, the main reason why the vast majority of them got to safety was the mental manipulation. No, the only reason they didn't all die to the train, everybody on that path, was because of Quicksilver and both of them.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that train was going like 1,000 miles an hour and had no friction. I don't know what was happening with that train. It was off the rails for like 5 minutes going 1,000 miles an hour, smashing through brick walls. It is insane. Sokovia, slow down your trains.
Their train technology is really advanced.
Train technology is so much more advanced than their robot technology. Should have just got, Black Widow just stand there with her thighs open.
Oh no!
Now we get to Vision. Vision's body. The vibranium atoms bind with the living cells. Dr. Helen Cho is either wrong or I don't understand how that works. If she's saying it the way she's saying that it's not binding to the parts of the cells, like oxygen binding to iron and blood cells, but that it's binding to the cell itself.
Right.
Which isn't coding it. So I don't see how it would be possible to bind to the cell itself and not parts of the cells, and it not just be coding the cell. So I assume she's wrong, or that Joss Whedon is wrong, and that it is vibranium atoms bind with parts of living cells. So the cell is part vibranium, part normal cell, and not just covered in vibranium.
The other option would be that you can cover the cells in vibranium, and yet somehow the cell still works.
I mean, I don't know if the vibranium naturally has pores or not. I mean, it's arbitrary anyway. It doesn't really matter. But I like, actually knowing how it works. So.
Yeah.
His mind. He was at least 93% Jarvis's reconfigured matrix, which is not Jarvis, but something new, and we will call that Good Ultron.
Okay.
That is the program that Tony wanted to build.
Sure.
He is 93% the program Tony wanted to build.
Okay.
Not 93% Jarvis.
Okay.
He was also at least 3.5% bad Ultron. 7% of 50%.
Right.
Because Ultron uploaded 50% of himself into the body.
Okay.
And then of that 50%, when they were having Jarvis's reconfigured Matrix battle the 50% Ultron inside there.
Mm-hmm.
So when there was 7% left, that should have only been 3.5% technically.
Okay. Yeah.
Or it could have been like that it was just... so it could still be 7% him. I'm not really sure how that works. But whatever. I'm going to say 3.5%.
Sure.
Ultron. Like, it is 7% 3.5% bad Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
It's very confusing, I understand. But it's 3.5% 7 or 7% 3.5% bad Ultron. But like, I don't want to... That's different from it being 93% 100% Jarvis's reconfigured Matrix.
Okay.
As opposed to 7% of 3.5% bad Ultron. So, then everything was unplugged. Then Thor hit it with electricity, which overcharged the power, which if Thor's lightning is just straight up electricity, I don't see how it would do anything except for speed up the transfer, which it did. But there's not really any like high strangeness going on with Vision.
Okay.
Like, there's no like, Thor has special electric powers or whatever. It's just he charged the thing, it made the power go high, which made the power go high, I guess.
Right.
I didn't really seem to do anything. It's just Thor hits stuff electricity and power goes high because he's got a lot of electricity, I guess.
Yeah.
When I watched that scene, I was so confused. But watching it back, it's not actually that confusing.
Right.
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like there was a whole lot of high strangeness going on with him, but it's pretty scientific. His powers, though, he can overwrite code just by touching. Like, he could touch Ultron and erase him from the internet.
Yeah.
Which is fucking insane. But it did use up all of his mind energy. I don't know what that means, but it used up his mind energy in some way.
Yeah.
He also has the beam. As they all have the beam.
They got the beam.
Everybody's got the beam.
He can fly.
He can fly, of course. Little additional notes on War Machine. Again, just very surprised at how much focus he's getting, and I'm absolutely loving it. He's going to make a great Avenger. I did not think him or Falcon were going to be an Avenger. Falcon, I'm curious to see how he's going to work out as an Avenger, considering he is the most undeserving of being an Avenger.
Okay.
Just by nature of he's just a dude with a suit,
He's pilots.
Also, Falcon, bitch wasn't even at the Battle of Sokovia. Like, he got a brand new suit, though. At the end, he got a brand new suit. He was at the party, and then he didn't even show up for the big Battle of Sokovia. Now, I know, he's a war vet, and he's probably shouldn't be going in war because that's kind of... he's once out of that, But he's a part of the Avengers, so what else is he gonna do? We're finally fucking done.
We have some things we usually say.
No.
What do you think the next Avengers movie is going to be like?
Well, this is so hard trying to predict like 8 movies ahead. I'm going to predict that Thanos is going to... What would be not the next step, but the step after that? I guess Thanos comes to Earth. Thanos comes to Earth.
Okay.
That's my guess. I don't know. I have no idea. I have nothing to go off of.
Alright, next
Doctor Strange kills everybody. Now, the better question that I think more people are interested in, and I am actually interested in.
Okay.
What do I think is going to happen in Ant-Man? The plot, the big thing in Ant-Man will be...
I don't know how you're doing this one. I mean...
It's so much easier than the Avengers.
Infinity War, you have something to go off of.
I have nothing to go off of. That's like 9 movies ahead.
You have more than Ant-Man.
No, I absolutely do not.
What do you have about Ant-Man?
This movie just happened? That's what I have to go off of. This movie just happened. So I think Ant-Man is going to be... I think the villain is going to be a scientist. I think he is going to not team up with the Avengers until the very end of the movie. I think it's going to be an after-credits scene. I don't think there's going to be any connection in the movie itself.
Okay.
That's my guess. I give up.
Okay.
So, how'd you feel about the movie? Let's go over your notes.
Overall, I like this movie a lot more now than I did in the moment back then. And I think part of it is just the context of knowing, like, this isn't how every movie is from now on.
Yeah.
Also, there's been a Phase 3. I know that Marvel hasn't completely tanked. I know that this wasn't the death knell of the MCU.
That's good.
Hawkeye hasn't had a solo movie, but this feels like the Hawkeye movie.
Yeah, I would say still Tony has more focus than Hawkeye did.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a case that if you jigger a few things around, this could be Iron Man 4 in terms of focus.
Yeah. It's interesting with Tony. I'm surprised I'm still loving him as much as I am, and he's still my number one character in the MCU. Even with, him, all his movies being over. Like, they got it. They got it all done so quickly, and yet he's still the most interesting one.
I mean, he started the MCU, and as of Age of Ultron, he's still a very, very important, prominent tentpole figure.
Oh yeah. That's it. Bye-bye, suckers. We are discussing Ant-Man. I do think I would rank this the highest among all of the MCU movies. It's ranking higher than Avengers. It's ranking higher than Iron Man 3. It's ranking higher than Incredible Hulk for me. The main character is just someone who kind of got wrapped up in it.
Okay.
As opposed to someone like Tony, who is very involved with it, or Thor is a god, or, there's someone who just, really accidentally... Most of the Avengers, I wouldn't say, are accidents.
Right. It's pre-production, the first draft was written in 2003.
Jesus. Whoa.
It was written by Edgar Wright in 2003. And he was he didn't get the job immediately, but he was I noticed you're doing a lot of Marvel movies. You're doing Blade, you're doing Spider-Man. I've got a cool idea for Ant-Man.
Okay.
And they had not been able to do an Ant-Man movie, ever. Because when they first tried it, it was in the 1980s. Which is when I Shrunk the Kids came out.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is going to be too similar. It's just a superhero version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's
basically.
Stupid. Yeah, it was written to be a standalone, and then by 2006, it was written to be part of Phase 1. And then they just did not manage to make it work, which was a big deal, because Ant-Man, in the comics, very important to the Avengers. He's a founding Avenger.
Okay. Surprising. Never heard of him before the movie.
Ultra important. He is I wouldn't say the main character when it comes to Ultron, but I would. He is the most important character connected to Ultron.
Okay, wow.
He was super fundamental, and when they skipped him there, they were like, okay, the movie's still happening. We also can't reference him, though, because Edgar Wright asked Marvel Studios not to mention Hank Pym or his wife, because he wanted to do his movie first. I'll do the movie, I'll set up what my version of Ant-Man is, and then you guys can run from there. Please don't, drop hints or anything.
Okay.
So they couldn't even do the Avengers thing of, there's a secret scientist working for us or something.
That's kind of lame, actually.
Yeah. And that's why it's the last
Yeah,
film of
it does feel weird having it be the last film of Phase 2.
Yeah, it was a floater. It could have ended up anywhere.
Yeah, I can tell it.
I went into the movie very worried and kind of expecting it to not be great, but when I saw the movie, I loved it. It's just a good movie.
Yeah, I went into this one with no expectations. Captain America, I at least knew who he was. But this one, I didn't know shit about Ant-Man. I didn't know who the main character was. I didn't know anything, so I went into it with literally zero expectations for anything the gang that Scott had. They're one of my favorite parts about the movie. I'm just so glad that we got a tertiary cast that got so much focus. I'm not used to that in a movie, period.
Okay.
Which is also just why I like Edgar Wright films in general. A lot of times the whole cast has bits of moments they're memorable in some certain ways. All of them risking their life or their freedom, going to jail for this mission that really they had no stake in at all, and they barely understood what the hell was going on. That was fantastic. Resisting arrest in order to hit that button, which thank God he did. That was the most important thing out of all of them. Going back for the guard to make sure that nobody in that building died. Luis, just a cool character that he got so much characterization throughout the whole movie.
Most of the film is what Edgar Wright wanted to do. A lot of it was already, not shots, but, the rights and stuff. It was rewritten a whole bunch. But, the actors were all cast. The main things that are different are Janet, Hank's wife, was not meant to be in the movie at all.
Okay.
Everything involving the quantum realm is, completely added.
I can understand that. Honestly, only thing I would change about this movie is get rid of the quantum realm.
Okay.
I don't think that was needed. I don't understand how he's going small enough to go through the molecules and then is again then bigger enough to chop through the karate chop through the suit.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's... As we said, it might be a thing where it's supposed to be him going small enough to go through the molecules and then quickly going big again, but after that point, the suit just slowly makes you smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
But that's not supposed to be how it works. That's not how they say it works. So yeah, I get it. The quantum realm thing, kind of weird. Definitely setting up for future stuff, obviously. Janet ain't dead. She's coming back. No shit. I assume there's going to be a big thing of Hank trying to go into the dimension to get Janet back himself, so why would he try and do that if Scott didn't go and was able to come back and everything? Right. I mean, and it's also just some big thing to show, like, oh yeah, and Scott was even better than Janet. Janet was a loser. She couldn't come back. She didn't understand. She was stupid. She didn't count the medals 1, 2, 3 and swap them out. Nobody's gonna... It's gonna be like 2 people watching to understand that reference.
Yeah. Everything involving the Falcon was also added in.
Obviously, yeah.
Most importantly, Luis's long stories were all added in. That wasn't a quirk of his in the original.
Really? Because I've actually meant to say, other than the swipe cuts, that's what I thought was very Edgar Wright about it.
Okay.
Dialogue happening over quick cuts. That is quintessential Edgar Wright.
Right.
Very surprised that was not him.
That was the actor who actually chose to do that. Also, Hope was not really a character. Like, she was around, she existed, but she wasn't, like, she didn't have any focus.
Okay.
So, like, the fact that she fought and everything, and that she could control the ants really well, all of that was added in.
Okay, so I'm glad that all the compliments I gave him about the characters mattering was bullshit. No, so I guess just props to whoever was the new writer for this, more than Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
I think he did a better job. Sorry, Edgar Wright, I love you, but... Well, we talked about it for a second there, but Ant-Man just feeling very Kamen Rider inspired, or just like... I say Kamen Rider, but I guess what I do mean is Japanese superhero inspired.
Yeah. Edgar Wright did say that, like, when designing him and when coming up with, like, the fight scenes and stuff, they were very influenced by Ultraman and a Chinese movie called The Super Inframan.
Okay.
Which is a super deep cut. It was a Shaw Brothers movie, so, like, a lot of cinema people have seen it.
Okay. Scott and Hank are very similar characters that are parallel throughout the whole thing with Hope and his daughter and all that.
Right. He's in the prison problem of he has a very specific set of skills that he's really, really good at, and before he meets Hank, he can't find a way to use them in a way that works. And when he tries to go legit and get a job that just isn't anything to do with his previous talents, he eventually gets he gets found out and he gets fired.
Yeah.
Like, it's a constant stigma.
So, Hydra takes out Howard using Bucky, then Peggy gets too old, so then only the Hydra dude is left on the council. I don't know why then he just didn't become director. Instead, the World Council is formed. No idea what happened to the fucking Hydra guy. And Pierce is given the Hydra role in World Council.
Also, Hydra guy just got... Last time we see him, he had the briefcase with the pin particles and he ran away.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that he died. So one of the guys did have a 10 rings tattoo. So let's talk about the end credit scenes, mid-credit scenes, and also just mid-movie scenes.
I mean, I feel like that's just the scene.
Oh, no. We have to classify it as a mid-movie scene.
Oh boy, the MCU's gonna have mid-movie scenes now?
Sam, we get to have more focus with him. Glad we got it. Made me really be like, the Avengers are really split down the middle of the ones that matter and the ones that don't. You know, there's a real clear divide by the ones that they're just being pitied for why they're here. At some point, we're going to have a talk about you guys are the fighters and you guys are mainly just support. Like, Falcon. He doesn't need to fight. Doing that aerial surveillance up in the air and stuff.
Okay.
Hawkeye, actually, he can be a fighter. He can take out a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I think Ultron really did a great job of showing me that Hawkeye deserves to be a top tier Avenger. I mean, he's not like powered or anything.
Sure.
But he deserves to be. He's not being pitied.
Right.
I mean, he was, but now he doesn't deserve to be. We should delegate a lot of non-dangerous stuff or less dangerous stuff to the other Avengers. We should really start doing that because Quicksilver already died. We got him and then he immediately died.
Yeah.
So one of us died. We can now admit we should be being careful. The Falcon could take a bullet and die. Let's not have him just run out there with this shitty ass suit. Why, Tony? Give him a suit.
Mm-hmm.
Give him better. I'm not even saying give him an Iron Man suit. Mm-hmm. Give him something to protect his body from bullets. Like, I get why Black Widow doesn't have one. I get why Hawkeye does. I get why a lot of them don't have it. It's harder to fight with it. Mm-hmm. Why would Falcon? I mean, I guess because it's supposed to be lightweight and everything, but it's not a good suit. It's a bad suit.
Yeah, give him a little briefcase armor.
Yeah, anything. Chainmail, dude. Something. Dude, I'm so worried he's gonna die. Especially because his whole character is the war veteran, dude. Like,
right.
I'm ready for Sam to die. He's so vulnerable. Right, okay. Cap, Bucky, and Falcon at the end there talking about, we can't tell anybody about this either.
Right.
Because nobody would understand. Nobody would understand. The only thing when they're saying that, I assume they mean nobody's gonna understand that Bucky's not a bad guy, that the Winter Soldier was just being manipulated and brainwashed into doing this sort of stuff, and that they're just gonna want to do away with him and kill him and everything. But Hawkeye's been brainwashed. Oh, Banner as well. Right. That he was brainwashed by Scarlet Witch into doing the whole Hulk thing that he doesn't want to do. I mean, and just in general, the Hulk thing, you know, he understands that. I mean, that's a little bit different, but the Scarlet Witch thing is definitely more closer to Bucky's situation.
Right.
But, yeah, I feel like Banner and Hawkeye definitely both would fucking understand. Hawkeye especially. He almost fucking destroyed the whole Earth. So, I call bullshit on that.
Okay.
You know, I call Avengers are once again, they felt like a team and now they're falling apart again. They're keeping these secrets with each other. Right. You know, they should be telling them all about Bucky. I get why someone, like, you know, don't tell Thor about Bucky, but Thor's not here. You know? Thor's like one of the only ones where I get, like, not telling Thor about certain stuff.
Right.
Thor's a very kind of, like, he's a very one-track kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's gonna be like, we have to destroy him or, you know, whatever. But, like, he's very... He doesn't listen, you know? He's not a democratic kind of guy. Whatever he wants, even if it's good or bad, he's just gonna do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get not telling him. He's not gonna listen. But yeah, as far as the other ones, it's like... And, yeah, having Falcon as the defense for the Avengers base! Didn't go so well, did it? I mean, the one time they're attacked and it doesn't... we also had the girl who is like a boss in the world of guerrilla journalism and has mad connects with the peeps behind the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
This girl is a Spider-Man character. I'm saying that as a statement because I'm so sure of it.
Okay.
I've never seen this one in my life. She feels like a Spider-Man character.
Okay.
I cannot explain it, but either way, she said, we got a guy who jumps, we got a guy who swings, we got a guy who crawls up walls. The guy who jumps, I don't know. The second one's Spider-Man, obviously. I don't know how the third one isn't also Spider-Man. I'm not sure what other person we have who crawls up walls that isn't Spider-Man. But yeah, so confirmation that Spider-Man is around at this time. He's making his debut probably right about now because he's not like the Avengers aren't getting in contact with him, but he is doing stuff.
Right.
This girl, I assume, is going to be the connect between the Avengers and all the other powers. I want to see a scene that's similar to what we got in Ultron, where it's the big party and everything. You got the war vets, you got the politicians, you got the richity rich uppity ups, and then you've got Luis and the gang there.
I could see it.
I can't say enough just how much they were crucial to my enjoyment of this movie, the gang. Like, everything, the whole system thing, like, they were so hilarious. And I'm glad that a lot of it was Luis's actor, like, you know, bringing stuff to the table. That is nice. I think I'm pretty much through my... Darren Cross. I actually like how little he was in the movie.
Okay.
A lot of his character was defined by the fact that what we know him as is not who he is. This stuff has been messing with his brain, and it's been changing him. And so all we know is this version of him, which I'm sure is pretty similar to the real version of him. But I always like that whenever, you know, the only version of the character we see is not who that character actually is.
Right.
I love whenever.
And I do think it's important that when Hank lost faith in Darren, like when he was like, you were too much like me, it was before his head was being messed with.
Yeah, I mean, that was years ago.
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because there's something about that I still like, that, he was bad news regardless. This made it worse. But it's not like this is the defining thing that made him a bad person, quote unquote, or, a threat.
And, I assume the thing of I see myself in you, but worse, not as in, I also would have bad intentions for this, but in terms of, innate curiosity and innate need to do.
Yeah.
Which, again, is, I think, going to be connected to Hank going into the quantum realm to try and get Janet back. He has this innate curiosity and innate need to do. The Yellow Jacket did have a tight ass design.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. So cool. I do think him knowing what was going on the whole time was a dumb twist, and I didn't really like it.
Okay.
I would have much preferred if he didn't know. I think that's very, very rare that we ever get a villain like that, and I really liked him for that, and they had the twist, and I was like, oh, he's actually so much less interesting now.
Right,
His actor was great, though. I love his ugly face. He does get across this very childish, throwing a tantrum sort of vibe. Just where every time he gets so mad, he's like, just die! he looks so gross. I don't want to say gross. The ugliest you can try. He's pushing up his chins.
Yeah.
He's scrunching his face. He's trying to make himself look stupid.
Thomas the Tank Engine, they had to ask for him, and the Thomas the Tank Engine people had 3 requests. One was no tying someone to the track so Thomas might hit him, and Thomas can neither be good nor evil. He has to be neutral. Which is why, in the movie, when Thomas smashes through the wall, it affects both people equally. It just changes the dynamic of what's going on.
Yeah.
He doesn't help defeat Yellow Jacket, because he's neutral.
Oh, I love that so specific. Why, we gotta talk about the implosions as well. What is going on there? Okay, so, we've gone back and looked at this multiple times. When Ant-Man goes in Yellow Jacket's suit, he karate chops into bits.
Yes. That's just rider physics.
Yeah. Then his suit implodes and then shrinks. Why does it implode? Well, no, because the nitramine pulls everything together. It wouldn't make the matter stop existing or get to the point where, maybe it is. It's crushing it, it's doing the normal nitramine thing, and then it's shrinking down till you can't see it.
Yeah, because we see the implosions, and then we also, but I don't think it's the same thing. We do also see the traditional shrinking effects with the outlines.
The no regulator shrinking.
And at the very end, when he gets super small, it's not like Janet's, where he just goes in and disappears. He gets real small, and you see a pop and, sparks.
Yeah, he explodes.
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of, the regulator was causing him to super shrink, but also he was exploding and imploding. Yeah.
Also, it would be really fucking weird if he just had nitramine in the suit for some fucking... It's only a bomb, so I don't know why he would. The building, I thought, was one thing. But then when it happened later with the suit, that's when it's like, why would he have nitramine in his fucking suit? The whole Quantum Realm stuff, the visual effects, they were really dope.
Yeah.
I will say that. As much as I was like, was this needed?
What is going to happen in Captain America Civil War?
Last time, I think I said Captain America's traveling back in time and gonna fight the Civil War again. I think that was what I said last time.
Civil War is one of the ones you've talked about it the most because you've heard the term Civil War.
So now I assume it's a humans versus powered people. Okay. Not as a fight, but as as the world is starting to get used to people in the world, not just the Avengers. I'm sure there's gonna be a villain. Which again, I don't think it's gonna be the Avengers. I think it seems to be a very small subset of people that have a problem. I mean, and it's the Hulk. When I say they have a problem with the Avengers, I mean they have a problem with the Hulk.
I mean, I'd say a lot of people also have a problem with Stark.
People that are up against Tony are not up against him because he's an Avenger.
Right.
One. And, because one, because he's not powered, two, because he's not an Avenger, and three, because they're missing Ford.
Okay.
It's a big trifecta of, I don't think they'd be coming after him for a Civil War type of reason. Thor is gonna be a big old part of that one. Thor in Asgard is gone. He's gonna come back to just the world saying, we don't want no aliens.
What do you think Ant-Man and the Wasp could be about? You've already brought up the idea of them going subatomic again.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be, honestly, more of an off-screen thing.
Okay.
I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is actually gonna be pretty disconnected from the rest of the stuff, I feel like. See you guys for the next one.